Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1164. Before the young man exited the ancient peak, the news had yet to spread to the other sacred academies. In the sky-connecting realm, at the location of the sky-connecting immortal rock, the Supreme Might rankings attracted the attention of many experts every day. On this heaven-span immortal rock, the replacement of each figure symbolized the replacement of the heaven-span world's most terrifying figure. At this moment, the sky-connecting immortal rock suddenly shone with a resplendent immortal light, causing the eyes of many figures on the Tongtian heaven stone to turn sharp as they stared at the rock. A bright light shone from the rock. A new member of the Supreme Might rankings had appeared. Numerous gazes turned to the rock with solemn expressions. After that, at a certain location on the sky-connecting immortal rock, a figure gradually grew dimmer and dimmer. How is this possible? Many people had solemn expressions on their faces when they saw this, feeling shock in their hearts. This dimming figure was actually a supreme genius named Li Yufeng. What sort of character was Li Yufeng? He was a supreme genius from the 100 Refinements sect, a major power in the northern regions. He was given the title of Sage Child by the elders of the sect, and the status of a Sage Child was extremely high. Only the leading characters of a generation would have such qualifications. Li Yufeng was only at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation, but he was already given the title of Sage Child. From this, one could very well imagine how outstanding he was. Naturally, this place was the Tiandao Sacred Academy. No matter how outstanding Li Yufeng's status was, geniuses were as common as the clouds in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Since he could appear on the sky-connecting immortal rankings, it was naturally due to his extraordinary strength. In the northern regions, the 100 Refinements sect and the Dark North Immortal Dynasty had a deep grudge. However, there was a princess of the Dark North Immortal Dynasty who fell in love with this sage child of the 100 Refinements sect. The two of them became lovers, and this princess was the younger sister of Princess Kitamura. Her status was extraordinary, and she herself was also an outstanding character. After she entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy, she had many pursuers. Once there was an extremely powerful pursuer who was at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation. However, that pursuer fought against Li Yufeng in the sky-connecting realm, and was forcibly refined to death by Li Yufeng, shocking the entire sky-connecting realm. In addition to Li Yufeng's status in the 100 Refinements sect, none of his love rivals dared to antagonize him. His name was engraved on the sky-connecting immortal rock in the sky-connecting realm. The figures on the Supreme Might rankings weren't the ones with the highest combat prowess, but they were definitely the most outstanding characters in their respective cultivation realms. But now, such a powerful existence like Li Yufeng actually dimmed in comparison to the rest of the Supreme Might rankings. Who would be able to replace Li Yufeng with a cultivation base at the 5th level? The eyes of everyone stared at the sky-connecting immortal rock. This was especially so for those who had personally witnessed Li Yufeng's domineering battle back then. All of them felt that this was unbelievable. They didn't believe that there would be someone who could replace Li Yufeng at the 5th level. Li Yufeng's silhouette finally vanished, transforming into nothingness. A brand new silhouette appeared, imprinting itself onto the Supreme Might rankings. This was a young man with long black hair that draped over his shoulders. He radiated a supreme divine glow, like he had the body of a divinity. He was handsome and exuded an unparalleled aura, officially replacing Li Yufeng. Who is this man? He looks somewhat familiar. What qualifications does he have to replace Li Yufeng? Someone was unconvinced. What sort of expert was Li Yufeng? How could there be someone more outstanding than him at the 5th level? Could it be that Li Yufeng's cultivation base has risen? Someone mused. That doesn't seem right. Li Yufeng hasn't been at the 5th level for too long, and the Supreme Might rankings wasn't too far away from him. It's impossible for his cultivation base to rise again. It's that young man at the Saint Great Immortal Foundation. He's the male lead of the incident with Chu Qingyi. Someone spoke. At this moment, a dazzling immortal light radiated from the Supreme Might rankings. Li Yufeng has been replaced by someone else. An intense light flashed in the sky-connecting realm as countless figures sped towards the direction of the sky-connecting immortal rock. After that, when they saw that handsome young man, there were some who doubted and some who exclaimed in admiration. A figure hurried over from outside the sky-connecting realm. When he saw the change in the rankings, he spoke, the rules of the Sacred Academy have changed. As expected, the Supreme Might rankings would be able to sense everything that happens outside the Sky Connecting Realm. And as expected, Qin Wentian has already entered the Sky Connecting Realm. This person had personally witnessed the battle between Qin Wentian and Huang Yudi. Although he was shocked that Qin Wentian would replace Li Yufeng, he could still accept it. After all, Huang Yudi himself was already an extremely terrifying character. Qin Wentian actually jumped levels to defeat him. It's just that if Qin Wentian fought against Li Yufeng, no one knew what would happen. What attitude would Li Yufeng have towards the change in the Supreme Might rankings this time around? Many people mused. At this moment, Qin Wentian had indeed stepped into the Sky Connecting Realm. When the Sky Connecting Immortal Rock radiated immortal light, he actually sensed something in his heart. Casting his gaze in the direction of the Sky Connecting Immortal Rock, he seemed to have sensed something. The Sky Connecting Realm is truly mysterious, Qin Wentian mumbled. The people in the surroundings glanced at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's words seemed to have a deeper meaning. Senior brother, let's hurry up. Jun Mengchen continued leading the way, heading towards the entrance of the Tiandao Sacred Academy, where Qing'er was at. As they advanced, before they reached the exit, a figure suddenly halted. Wait. What's wrong? Qin Wentian glanced at the person who spoke. It was none other than Tang Shang, a 9th-level Immortal Foundation senior brother from the Heavenly Talisman realm. They are coming over. Tang Shang spoke. After that, Qin Wentian furrowed his brows, as though he could sense the baleful qi gushing over from afar. Disperse, we would rather die in battle than be captured alive. Qin Wentian spoke. The group of them instantly understood Qin Wentian's meaning. All of them dispersed at the same time, moving in different directions. The rules of the Tiandao Sacred Academy had changed. Only one's true self could enter the Sky Connecting Realm. But maybe it was to prevent the deaths of geniuses in the Sacred Academy. There were some rules in the Sacred Academy. If one died in battle in the Sky Connecting Realm, they would be teleported out. But once they were captured, Qin Wentian and the others understood the consequences. Retreating without fighting wasn't something glorious. However, wasn't it foolish to be an ant trying to shake a tree? Qin Wentian and the others knew that given how powerful their opponents were, if they fought head-on, they would definitely end up in a miserable state. A group of experts rushed over with extreme speed. Among them, Huang Yudi and the other experts from the 9 Emperors' immortal state were among them. Back then, they had indeed retreated after being threatened by Qin Wentian. However, they came to the entrance of the Sacred Academy where Qing'er was in and sealed this place, as though they were certain that Qin Wentian would definitely come here. Naturally, if it was merely the experts from the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Qin Wentian and the others wouldn't have retreated. They might even choose to fight. But now that the other party had the many greater demons of the White Tiger people, their lineup was truly terrifying. The towering baleful qi that gushed over seemed to be filled with the rage of the White Tiger people. Qin Wentian fled alone in a direction. The direction he fled to was actually the direction of the Sky Connecting Immortal Rock in the central region of the Sky Connecting Realm. His speed was extremely fast. A pair of great rock wings appeared on his back, and he soared through the air like a true great rock. Far behind him, Huang Wudi was riding on his sword. His golden robes fluttered in the wind, and his eyes gleamed with cold killing intent. His speed was as fast as golden lightning. Only he alone was chasing after Qin Wentian. Under his control, Qin Wentian had no path of escape. Qin Wentian indeed had no path of escape. At this moment, another figure appeared before him. It was none other than the expert from the White Tiger royalty, Bai Mao. Bai Mao was a greater demon at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation. He stood there like a god of slaughter. Halting his steps, Qin Wentian stared at the figure in front of him. His expression was calm, but there was a coldness hidden in his eyes that caused the hearts of others to palpitate. Fleeing. The killing intent in Bai Mao's eyes wasn't concealed at all. He coldly spoke, after hiding for so long, "You are finally willing to scram down the mountain?" Qin Wentian was comprehending the Tao in the Sacred Academy. But in the mouth of Bai Mao, it became hiding. Beasts will always be beasts. Although the White Tiger people are proud and arrogant, they are all useless. But now they actually joined forces with others. Qin Wentian mocked. This white tiger people joined forces with people from the 9 emperors' immortal state, yet they were the first to mock him. How laughable. Behind him, Huang Wudi exuded an aura of sharpness as he walked over. He was at the 9th level of Immortal Foundation and had once fought against Jia Nantian. How terrifying was his strength! He stood there, not in a hurry to act. He merely stared coldly at Qin Wentian. Humiliating a prince of the 9 emperors' immortal empire? He naturally had to pay a price for this. It's Qin Wentian, the person who replaced Li Yufeng on the Supreme Might rankings. This place was the central region of the Sky Connecting Realm. Many people stared at Qin Wentian as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. More and more experts started to gather here, all of them staring at Qin Wentian. This fellow replaced Li Yufeng not long ago, and now he was already in trouble. It was unknown what combat prowess he would display. Boom! Qin Wentian moved, directly rushing towards Bai Mao. His body glowed with a divine glow as his immortal foundation shone with a dazzling light. With a single strike, the roar of a dragon echoed out, wanting to kill everything in its path. Bai Mao roared in rage, directly reverting to his true form. He once fought against Qin Wentian on the battle platform. At that time he was at the 6th level while Qin Wentian was at the 4th level. Right now, both of their cultivation bases have risen. Naturally, the leap from the 6th level to the 7th level was much greater, and the increase in his strength was much more terrifying as well. Today he wanted Qin Wentian to suffer a fate worse than death. When the incomparably huge white tiger's palm smashed down, it was as if a huge white tiger had charged out furiously, colliding with the demonic dragon and directly tearing it apart. Qin Wentian didn't seem to be able to sense how strong Bai Mao was. He stepped out and directly engaged in close-range combat. Each of his attacks were infused with a greater demon innate treasure that contained boundless might. It was like he was truly a supreme greater demon. Bai Mao howled in rage. His baleful qi transformed into boundless killing intent that enveloped this entire space. One man and one demon clashed against each other, causing mountains to crumble and the earth to shatter. The spectators felt their hearts trembling when they saw their battle. This Qin Wentian had such combat prowess. If he could give everyone a little surprise, he would definitely be ranked on the Supreme Might rankings. Huang Wudi didn't move. He stared at the battle as his eyes gleamed with royal immortal light. With him here, Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to escape even if he grew wings. How powerful! The spectators continued to stare at the battlefield. Occasionally, there would be people who would glance at Huang Wudi with confidence. Qin Wentian's attacks grew more and more violent, blasting Bai Mao into executing the white tiger killing art. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with a strange light. Today, he would let Bai Mao be complacent for a little while before taking his life in the future. As he thought of this, the power of Qin Wentian's attacks continued to crumble unceasingly under the might of the white tiger ultimate art. Qin Wentian's countenance turned pale as the boundless killing intent slammed into him, wanting to break apart everything. Huang Wudi's eyes flashed. He wanted to act, but it was already over. Qin Wentian's body vanished from sight along with the light from the Sky Connecting Realm. Roar! Bai Mao let out a heaven-shaking roar of rage. Regretfully, he wasn't able to capture Qin Wentian alive. Although his combat prowess is extraordinary, he was killed so badly by Bai Mao. Would such a person be able to defeat Li Yufeng? Someone questioned. Chapter 1165. With so many experts gathered here, the commotion caused by this caused countless people to express their emotions. This was especially so because the main character of the earlier battle was the main character of the Supreme Might rankings. Bai Mao's cultivation base is at the 7th level, and he's also someone who obtained the White Tiger royalty. He should be more outstanding compared to the opponent Li Yufeng defeated back then. It's already not bad for Qin Wentian to be able to fight against Bai Mao to such an extent. Li Yufeng killed his opponent back then while Qin Wentian was defeated. Even if Bai Mao is stronger compared to Li Yufeng's opponent back then, Li Yufeng is still the stronger one. That's right, the change of the Supreme Might rankings this time around isn't that trustworthy. The experts in the air were as common as clouds as they discussed. Only now did Bai Mao know that the change of the Supreme Might rankings was actually because of Qin Wentian's appearance on the Sky Connecting Immortal Rock. This caused him to feel even more unhappy as his killing intent grew even more terrifying. This time around his luck isn't bad. If he fought on the life and death arena like before, Qin Wentian would already be a dead man. The baleful aura radiating from Bai Mao was as terrifying as ever. That battle back then had become a knot in his heart. This time around, killing Qin Wentian in such a domineering manner had an extraordinary meaning to him. Huang Wuti stared at Bai Mao, his eyes flashing with disdain. He didn't expect the White Tiger royalty to be so weak, being so smug even after defeating someone with a lower cultivation base. But on account of the fact that both parties were allies, Huang Wuti didn't say anything. It was just that this idiot allowed Qin Wentian to escape, yet he was still so smug. Huang Wuti didn't say anything, but it didn't mean that the others would give face to Bai Mao. A cold voice drifted over. Idiot. This voice was exceptionally clear, causing the eyes of everyone to narrow as their expressions trembled. Earlier only Bai Mao was speaking. In that case, the word idiot was clearly meant for Bai Mao. Someone actually used the word idiot to humiliate the people of the White Tiger royalty. In a certain direction, a group of experts could be seen walking over. The two in the lead were a man and a woman, both exuding extraordinary grace. The man's aura was extraordinary, and there was a hint of coldness on his face. The woman was a peerless beauty, a rare beauty. It's him. The eyes of everyone gleamed with sharpness. The other main character of the Supreme Might rankings has arrived. This man was none other than the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. The person beside him was none other than the younger sister of Princess Kitamura, the princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Bai Mingnongyue. Bai Mao's eyes swept over Li Yufeng. His baleful aura was terrifying. Who are you talking to? What kind of person was Bai Mao? He was a member of the White Tiger royalty. Why would he care about the status of humans? In his eyes, humans were lowly and inferior. How could they be compared to the great clans of the demon realm? Naturally, I'm talking to an idiot, Li Yufeng continued. If the voice earlier wasn't clear enough, this sentence was like a slap to the face. Given Li Yufeng's personality, how would he care about Bai Mao's status? Interesting. The spectators all had expressions of interest on their faces. Bai Mao just fought against Qin Wentian, who replaced Li Yufeng on the Supreme Might rankings. And now Li Yufeng appeared again. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, everyone was a peak-level genius. There would be endless conflicts between them, and none of them would care about each other. Bai Mao's baleful aura gushed forth ferociously. He stared at Li Yufeng as he coldly spoke. Lowly fellow, scram out here. A mere livestock dares to mock humans? Ridiculous. Do you really think that the White Tiger people have a noble bloodline? It's just that after refining them, their meat would taste even better. Li Yufeng's tone was as calm as ever. Yet that calm voice was so sharp and piercing. It was like in his eyes he basically didn't care about the White Tiger people at all. Boom! A towering baleful aura gushed forth, dancing in the air as the baleful aura gushed towards Li Yufeng. Even if Li Yufeng didn't want to fight, he had no choice but to come out and fight. Li Yufeng stepped out and released his immortal foundation. That incomparably resplendent immortal foundation shone with astral light, and in an instant, the temperature in the surroundings abruptly rose. Li Yufeng's entire body glowed with a terrifying radiance, like a supreme armor, unexcelled in the world. His immortal foundation was like a smelting furnace that could refine everything in the world. The 100 Refinements sect was named after the 100 Refinements sect. There was nothing in the world that they couldn't refine. A terrifying suction force gushed forth from the smelting furnace as streams of baleful aura gushed into the furnace, becoming a part of it. It was rumored that the people of the 100 Refinements sect would grow stronger and stronger as they advanced. This was especially so for those saint children and leaders. When they reached the pinnacle, it was said that they could refine everything in the world. Don't use such trashy methods, it's very boring. Li Yufeng calmly spoke. There were so many experts in the immortal realms, and there would always be some outstanding characters. And those who could be ranked on the Supreme Might rankings were naturally extremely outstanding. Li Yufeng of the 100 Refinements sect was precisely one of those geniuses among geniuses. When facing against the White Tiger royalty, who was 2 levels higher than him, he actually said that his opponent's methods were trashy. How could Bai Mao endure this? He roared in rage, causing the entire space to tremble. The spectators all retreated. Those with weaker cultivation bases trembled as baleful aura seeped into their bodies. Li Yufeng naturally bore the brunt of it, but the immortal light radiating from him was extremely terrifying. Even his body was like a smelting furnace, forcibly refining the baleful aura away. White-eyed ghostly lord reverted to his true form and stepped out with his sharp claws. One after another, white tiger demons brought with them a boundless baleful aura, crushing the void and trampling everything in its path. The heavens and earth rumbled, and it was extremely powerful. Li Yufeng's expression was as calm as ever. The immortal light radiating from him gushed forth as terrifying chaotic currents of destruction gushed forth from the smelting furnace. There were streams of lava and streams of golden liquid, all of them transformed into destructive light that could refine everything as they gushed forth with incomparable ferocity. The towering baleful auras of the white tigers were all blocked, and all of them were refined into nothingness. Although Li Yufeng was only at the 5th level of Immortal Foundation, he truly had the magnificence to refine everything in the world. A gigantic and terrifying white tiger rushed forward with a speed as fast as the wind. Its entire body was golden in color, seemingly indestructible. Bai Mao's gigantic body directly rushed into the chaotic currents. He truly wanted to see how Li Yufeng would refine him, who was at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation. Baleful aura circulated around him as his gigantic body advanced through the chaotic currents of destruction, aiming to crush Li Yufeng. However, Li Yufeng's lover, Princess Nonga, had a calm expression on her face, as though she had an intense confidence in Li Yufeng. The powerful Bai Mao descended, unleashing the treasured arts of the White Tiger people, wanting to destroy Li Yufeng. However, Li Yufeng's smelting furnace seemed to have fused together with his body. It was like he himself was a smelting furnace that could refine everything in the world. He pointed his finger forward and instantly, the light from the smelting furnace revolved around Bai Mao's body, frenziedly nibbling away at his opponent's defenses while Bai Mao's body advanced bit by bit, finally coming into contact with Li Yufeng's body. The killing treasured arts slammed down as destructive energy gushed forth. Yet Li Yufeng, who had transformed into a smelting furnace, slowly fused it into his own body. Do you think that close combat is enough? Li Yufeng stared at the gigantic body of Bai Mao right before him. Immortal light radiated from him, wanting to refine everything as Bai Mao's defenses were broken apart bit by bit. Roar! A thunderous roar shook the heavens and earth. A human and a demon separated, each standing in a different location. Bai Mao stared hatefully at Li Yufeng, his baleful eyes gleaming with a terrifying light. The excitement he felt when he killed Qin Wentian had completely vanished at this moment. Although victory and defeat have yet to be determined in this battle, he had already been defeated. His cultivation base was 2 levels higher than Li Yufeng, but he still couldn't kill his opponent. This wasn't defeat, what was it? How impudent! Bai Mao's eyes were exceptionally cold. I just can't bear to see you demons boasting that your bloodline is so high and mighty, yet you dare to call humans lowly? Who do you think you are? Li Yufeng calmly spoke. The spectators all sighed. Bai Mao killed Qin Wentian while Li Yufeng fought to a draw against Bai Mao. Seems like Li Yufeng is indeed stronger than Qin Wentian. This time around, the Supreme Might Immortal rankings have been updated wrongly. Li Yufeng is truly very strong. Qin Wentian basically doesn't have the qualifications to appear on the Supreme Might Immortal rankings. Qin Wentian, what does he count for? He's not worthy. After this battle, the voices of dissent gradually suppressed the voices of dissent. I don't have much interest in the Supreme Might Immortal rankings, but it's truly not a bad treasure. Naturally, I'm most interested in those who can ascend to the Supreme Might Immortal rankings. There's naturally a reason why Qin Wentian was able to replace me on the Supreme Might Immortal rankings. How can he be as weak as you all imagine him to be? In the earlier battle, he intentionally lost to Bai Mao and left the Supreme Might Immortal realms. How laughable that idiot is still so complacent. Li Yufeng calmly spoke, his words causing everyone to start. Li Yufeng was actually speaking up for Qin Wentian. Sage child, how do you know that Qin Wentian intentionally lost? Someone asked. For someone who can replace me, how can he be killed by that idiot? Is there even a need to say more? Li Yufeng spoke, his words causing everyone to perspire. How tyrannical. In that case, Sage Child feels that you are inferior to Qin Wentian? Another person asked. I didn't say that. Li Yufeng laughed. After that, he turned and walked to the side of Princess Nongyue and pulled her hand. Let's go. Baiming Nongyue smiled and nodded. Her eyes were filled with deep affection when she looked at Li Yufeng. The two of them held hands as they departed. In the air, a faint voice drifted over. Qin Wentian was defeated. If he invites Bai Mao to the life and death arena next time, that idiot would most probably accept it. As this voice rang out, the eyes of everyone flashed. Could it be that Qin Wentian was actually so ruthless? He intentionally lost because he wanted to kill Bai Mao? If this was the case, this Qin Wentian was truly terrifying. Back then when he roasted the white tiger meat and ate it, it was on a life and death arena. At that time, weren't the white tiger people filled with confidence as well? The hearts of everyone were filled with emotions. Was Li Yufeng's words true? Right now, what was Qin Wentian thinking about? At this moment, Qin Wentian didn't think too much. After he was blasted out of the sky connecting realm, he entered it once more, making full use of the time and rushed to the place he wanted to go to earlier. As expected, even Huang Wudi was chasing after him. There was no one left to guard this place. Qin Wentian stepped out. At the next instant, in another sacred academy, Qin Wentian's figure appeared there. Chapter 1166. Qin Wentian walked out of the sky-connecting realm and stood in the middle of this sacred academy. He inclined his head and stared at the air as a warm smile flashed in his eyes. Qing'er was in this sacred academy. It has been over 30 years since they parted. How could he not miss her? Even back then when he was in his particle world staring up at the immortal realms, he didn't spend such a long period of time to do so. He didn't know how long more he would need to cultivate in the sacred academy. Were Qing'er and Qingqing still doing well? With a warm smile on his face, Qin Wentian slowly walked out. Since he knew that Qing'er was in this sacred academy, he naturally had to find Qing'er in the shortest time possible. No one would be able to stop him. The 9 emperors' immortal state, the white tiger people, none of them would be able to stop him. As for the royal elder brother that Huang Yudi spoke of, he had never thought about what sort of character that person was. That had nothing to do with him. With a flash of his silhouette, Qin Wentian soared into the air and entered this sacred academy. This sacred academy was similarly filled with experts. It was even more lively compared to the sacred academy that Qin Wentian entered first. There would occasionally be experts flying through the air, entering this vast sacred academy. It wasn't so easy to find a person in the sacred academy. His eyes flashed. Qin Wentian saw many geniuses fighting below. There were many experts gathered here. He slowly walked out and landed on an ancient hall, directly stepping into the center of the battlefield. This caused many people to stare at him in astonishment. This was especially so for the 2 geniuses who were preparing for a battle. Both of them had strange expressions on their faces as they stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian didn't seem embarrassed at all. He was here to attract attention, so he didn't care about the gazes of the crowd. He cupped his hands at the crowd and smiled. I'm new here. Do you know what is the most eye-catching place in the sacred academy? So it's a newcomer to the sacred academy. It's been so many years since the sacred academy opened, and you've only just entered. No wonder you're so reckless, the person opposite him said coldly. However, why do I feel that you look somewhat familiar? It's that fellow with the Saint Grade Immortal Foundation. Back then I didn't manage to see him clearly, but I still remember him. Someone spoke, causing expressions of interest to appear on the faces of the spectators. Over 30 years ago, when Qin Wentian stepped into the sacred academy, he had attracted the attention of many. When this voice rang out, many people instantly came to their senses. Haha, Saint Grade Immortal Foundation. Did he just enter the sacred academy? Someone mocked. Back then, Qin Wentian, who had a perfect Saint Grade Immortal Foundation, was incomparably dazzling. Now that he just entered the sacred academy, there were naturally people who felt complacent in their hearts. Qin Wentian couldn't be bothered to explain anything. He continued smiling as he looked at the crowd. You only managed to enter the sacred academy because you have a perfect Saint Grade Immortal Foundation. I'm sure you must be filled with unwillingness in your heart. If you want to become famous quickly, you can head to the Shizhong Wall and become famous overnight. At that time, the gazes of the entire sacred academy would be focused on you. Someone laughed, causing expressions of interest to appear on the faces of many people. There were 4 sacred academies, and each sacred academy had its own unique place. And for this sacred academy, there was a gigantic Shizhong wall. However, for someone who only managed to enter the sacred academy after 30+ years, wouldn't he be looking for trouble by heading to the Shizhong wall? However, there were also many people who were suspicious. Did the words newcomer really refer to the time he just entered the sacred academy? For someone with a perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, would it take him 30+ years to enter the sacred academy? Qin Wentian didn't know what the crowd was thinking. He clasped his hands and asked, "Might I ask where the Shizhong wall is located?" "Head straight in that direction. Do you see the ancient palaces there? When you arrive there, you will know the location of the Shizhong wall with a single glance." Someone pointed the way. Qin Wentian clasped his hands and smiled. "Many thanks for your guidance. Farewell." After Qin Wentian spoke, he directly soared into the air. Many people laughed, but after that, they continued to pay attention to the 2 geniuses before them, and had no time to bother with Qin Wentian. There would be many people heading to the Shizhong wall every day. For someone like Qin Wentian who only managed to enter the sacred academy after 30+ years, how could he possibly attract the attention of the entire sacred academy? What a fool's dream. Those 2 geniuses who initially wanted to compete also had speechless smiles on their faces because of Qin Wentian's appearance. After that, they entered their combat state once again. Qin Wentian followed the directions, and just like what that person said, he easily found the Shizhong wall. The Shizhong wall was simply too conspicuous. Right in front of the ancient palaces, the chimes of bells could be heard as many geniuses walked towards the Shizhong wall. Qin Wentian landed in front of the stone bell rampart and stared at the resplendent immortal might radiating from it. There were countless divine inscriptions and diagrams engraved on the rampart. The divine inscriptions and diagrams on the rampart converged into a complex ancient bell that radiated resplendent immortal light. The number of geniuses in front of the Shizhong wall was as many as the clouds. All of them had their eyes closed as they advanced with great difficulty. Occasionally, there would be someone who forcefully took a step forward, but was directly blasted away by the bell chimes as they coughed out blood. "What's so special about this Shizhong wall?" Qin Wentian asked a person beside him. This place was extremely vast, and there were many experts spectating from the sidelines. That person glanced at Qin Wentian in bewilderment. This person actually didn't know what the Shizhong wall of the Sacred Academy was. "Do you see the footprints in the area enveloped by the Shizhong wall? If you walk towards these footprints, the Shizhong wall will radiate a terrifying might that resonates with your body, tempering your bones and blood, tempering your immortal foundation and triggering the laws of the great Tao. This is a miraculous place in the Sacred Academy. There would be geniuses cultivating here every day, and there was even a person who sat on the wall for 12 years, breaking through and strengthening his combat prowess." That person spoke to Qin Wentian. He then continued, "There's a total of 81 footprints, the number 9 by 9. There was once a supreme character who cultivated here for several years and managed to complete the 81 steps, arriving before the Shizhong wall and triggering the resonance of the laws of the Sacred Academy. His immortal foundation became perfect and he was truly unparalleled." Qin Wentian listened quietly as his eyes gleamed with sharpness. As expected, the 4 sacred academies were all different. Each of them had their own cultivation grounds. This Shizhong wall was precisely one of the cultivation grounds of this sacred academy. And in the past, he was in the same sacred academy as many other greater demons, but there wasn't such a place for cultivation here. Qin Wentian scrutinized the area enveloped by the Shizhong wall. There were many paths leading to the Shizhong wall, and each path had a total of 81 footprints. There were already quite a few people who managed to traverse more than half of the footprints, and every time they took a step, the Shizhong wall would radiate a powerful immortal light, causing the bells to chime. This sacred ground can actually allow one to perfect their immortal foundation, transforming it into a saint-grade immortal foundation. From this, one can see how profound it is. Qin Wentian silently mused. He knew that a saint-grade immortal foundation was a legendary immortal foundation, and was incomparably rare. Who would have thought that today in this sacred academy, where so many geniuses of the immortal realms gathered, Someone actually managed to form a saint-grade immortal foundation. The Tiandao Sacred Academy was as expected of a place where ancient emperors could emerge from. In that case, if one can complete the 81 footprints, the resonance of the laws of the Sacred Academy would be triggered and everyone in the Sacred Academy would be able to sense it? Qin Wentian asked. He came here precisely because he wanted to attract attention and used the most direct method to find Qing'er. Haha, you truly know how to boast shamelessly. That person glanced coldly at Qin Wentian. The moment he arrived, he actually said that he could complete the 81 footprints? What an arrogant fellow. Not knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth. I have no intention of mocking you. It's just that your words are simply too ridiculous. Do you know how difficult it is to complete all 81 steps? Let alone 81, as long as you can complete 63 steps, it would be sufficient to shake the entire Sacred Academy. If you can complete 72 steps, a dazzling radiance would be born. If you can complete 81 steps, your words would resound throughout the entire Sacred Academy, echoing for a very long time. That person had a look of yearning in his eyes, as well as a hint of disappointment and frustration. 81 steps. Even now, he could still remember the voice that resounded throughout the entire Sacred Academy. From then on, who in the Sacred Academy didn't know of that supreme character? And from then on, that person became one of the most outstanding geniuses in the entire Tiandao Sacred Academy. Many thanks. Qin Wentian smiled. He could sense that the other party had no intention of humiliating him. He probably felt that his words were a little too arrogant. Indeed, since he directly asked about the 81 steps, it was no wonder that the other party would have such thoughts. Moving forward, Qin Wentian stepped into the area of the Shizhong Wall. Looking at the 81 footprints on the path of immortals, he took the first step. In an instant, the Shizhong Wall seemed to have sensed something, and celestial light directly shone on him. At that moment, Qin Wentian felt an extremely strange feeling. It was as if the aura of his entire body was locked on by the Shizhong Wall, and there was a faint rule power flowing within his body. How strange! Qin Wentian took 9 consecutive steps. The feeling became extremely intense, and the bell on the Shizhong Wall rang, vibrating within his body. This feeling is very satisfying. Qin Wentian had a smile on his face as he continued forward. Every step he took was incomparably stable, and as he moved forward, a buzzing sound rang out from his body. His body was like a bell, and the rule power constantly transformed into immortal marks, blasting into his flesh and blood. When Qin Wentian took the 36th step, the bell rang in his body for a very long time. It was as though he was receiving a baptism of law energy. When he took the 45th step, he felt an extremely intense elemental energy. That was an elemental energy that belonged to him. It frenziedly flowed within his body, blasting into his body with astonishing might. Boom! When he took the 46th step, the light from the 6 ancient bells on the Shizhong Wall shone on his body. A terrifying force blasted over, causing him to feel as though his body was about to shatter. Qin Wentian's physique couldn't be said to be weak. He had the physique of an immortal devil. However, even he felt this way, let alone others. Qin Wentian took the 50th step. The bell chimes from his body were like a raging storm, threatening to destroy his body at any moment. Has this fellow gone mad? The eyes of the person who spoke to Qin Wentian earlier gleamed with sharpness. Taking the 50th step consecutively wasn't a good thing. The accumulated energy in his body hadn't been released yet, and once it erupted, it could directly take away his life. There was once such an example. An extremely terrifying genius with extraordinary talent managed to take the 60th step consecutively. Many people felt that he had the chance to take the 72nd step or above, but in the end he was directly killed. The Shizhong Wall was a sacred ground. It could temper people, but it could also be used to kill. Many experts stared in the direction of Qin Wentian. Beside him, there was another genius who was advancing with difficulty. That genius opened his eyes and glanced at Qin Wentian as he coldly spoke. You are still the same as before, wanting to be in the limelight no matter where you go. Even if you die, you wouldn't know how you died. Qin Wentian glanced at the person who spoke. This person was someone he knew back in the God Hand Mountain Manor, Yingtung. Back then, this fellow was extremely arrogant and was brutally abused by him. But now, he became the one who wanted to be in the limelight. Qin Wentian's eyes were emotionless. He glanced at Yingting before shifting his gaze to the front. He didn't look at Yingting as his voice rang out. Who are you? Gotcha. Yingting clenched his fists tightly. No matter how much he acted as though he didn't care about Qin Wentian, how could he forget the humiliation he suffered in the past? Although he appeared calm, his heart was burning with rage. Qin Wentian's words instantly ignited the flames of his anger. Qin Wentian asked him who he was? Qin Wentian was telling him that in the eyes of Qin Wentian, Yingting had never existed. Chapter 1167. What sort of character was Yingting? Although he wasn't that outstanding in the Sacred Academy, he was still a prince in the Ying clan, one of the three great ancient clans of the southern regions. Yet, he was humiliated repeatedly by Qin Wentian. This time around, Qin Wentian used three simple words, "Who are you?" to slap his face. After speaking this sentence, Qin Wentian continued moving forwards, passing Yingting. This step was akin to stepping on Yingting's heart. The cultivation of the Shizhong wall required one to take it step by step. Every step could be cultivated, slowly accumulating and comprehending the energy of the Shizhong wall. From there, one could gain benefits from comprehending it and improve oneself. This was the experience of many geniuses in the Sacred Academy. It was extremely rare for someone like Qin Wentian to be able to take 50 steps in a single breath. But at this moment, Yingting couldn't care less. He took a step forward as his aura surged. Bell chimes rang out unceasingly from his body. He roared as he turned his gaze to Qin Wentian. He coldly spoke, "After so many years, you are still as arrogant as ever. However, in the Sacred Academy where geniuses gather, who do you think you are?" Qin Wentian didn't reply. He took another step forward, directly engulfing Yingting's silhouette. This caused Yingting's countenance to turn ashen as an extremely unsightly expression appeared on his face. So what if Qin Wentian might be killed? Right now he was left behind. Qin Wentian's disregard caused his anger to burn even more intensely. Boom! Yingting took another step forward, unwilling to be outdone. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Qin Wentian, although they weren't on the same path. Qin Wentian glanced at Yingting as a smile flickered in his eyes. His smile was extremely radiant, filled with no restraints at all. He still didn't say anything and took another step forward. It seemed as though it was extremely difficult for him to do so, but he still succeeded. This was the 53rd step. Yingting stared at Qin Wentian with a cold expression on his face. Was he finally unable to endure it? If this continued, what awaited Qin Wentian would be the same as that genius back then, killed on the spot. His aura surged as he released his immortal foundation. Faint draconic roars could be heard as he took another step forward. With a thunderous roar, Yingting only felt his bones and meridians being battered by the frenzied attacks of attribute energies. It felt like there were terrifying demonic dragons wreaking havoc in his body. The bell chimes blasted unceasingly. His robes fluttered in the wind as he opened his eyes and stared at Qin Wentian, only to see that Qin Wentian had a difficult expression on his face. He struggled for a long time before he lifted his foot again. Yingting stared at Qin Wentian as a cold smile appeared on his face. Would Qin Wentian still be able to take this step? The 54th step, which was also the number of 6 to 9, Qin Wentian stepped out as his body trembled violently. Yingting's eyes gleamed with sharpness when he saw this. Qin Wentian couldn't endure any longer? It would be best if he was killed on the spot. However, although Qin Wentian's body was trembling, he managed to stabilize himself. He drew in a deep breath as he stared at Yingting with a mocking gaze. This gaze caused Yingting's entire body to be filled with rage. He was humiliated in the God Hand Mountain manner. How could he be defeated again today? As he thought of this, Yingting continued forward. With a thunderous roar, his aura towered up into the sky. Violent currents of qi gushed forth as his body trembled violently. But eventually, he managed to stabilize himself as his blood and qi churned wildly. At this moment, the spectators outside the Shizhong wall also saw Qin Wentian clashing with Yingting as expressions of interest appeared on their faces. This Qin Wentian was truly astonishing. In such a short period of time, he had already stepped out the number of 6 to 9. With another step, he would be able to reach the number of 7 to 9. That was a hurdle, and this hurdle had once obstructed many geniuses. Qin Wentian hesitated for a moment before he finally stepped out. Yingting was extremely nervous as he stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. He was waiting for Qin Wentian to fail, and for him to be killed by the tyrannical energy accumulated in his body. Boom! The sound of the bell reverberated through the air, emanating from every pore. Even his bones were emitting thunderous sounds, and his blood was rumbling. Qin Wentian groaned in pain as he tottered, as though he was in his twilight years and could wither away at any moment. But gradually, he actually steadied himself and stood firmly on the ground. Yingting's countenance was ashen. Qin Wentian stood firm and once again turned his head to look at Qin Wentian. The provocation in his gaze was so obvious. Qin Wentian clenched his fists tightly as he stared at Qin Wentian. His rationality told him that he shouldn't continue moving forward. He needed to stop for a moment and sort out the chaotic qi flow in his body. This step was extremely dangerous. As a descendant of the Ying clan, how can I endure such humiliation? So what if it's dangerous? A voice rang out in Yingting's heart. As he thought of this, his courage grew even stronger as he encouraged himself. A descendant of the Ying clan, when faced with a challenge, he would never shirk his responsibility. As he thought of this, Yingting's heroic spirit soared to the clouds. He lifted his foot and took another step forward. With this step, an even more powerful aura gushed forth as attribute energies gushed into his body. Qin Wentian groaned in pain as his body swayed unsteadily. He coughed out another mouthful of blood as his body was directly flung through the air. The terrifying energy within his body erupted as the bell chimes pierced through his body, leaving behind numerous wounds. Yingting's body slammed into the ground, his countenance as pale as paper. He inclined his head and stared at the silhouette of Qin Wentian, his countenance extremely unsightly. In the end he still lost to Qin Wentian. But so what? His conviction hadn't wavered. His courage was still the same. But at this moment, Yingting saw Qin Wentian glancing back at him with a smile on his face. After that, under the astonished gaze of Yingting, Qin Wentian continued to step forward. He didn't look like he was on the verge of collapsing at any moment. Every step he took caused intense bell chimes to ring out, and every step he took felt like trampling on Yingting's heart. That was an insurmountable gap. At the same time, it was also an extreme humiliation. At this moment, how could Yingting not understand that Qin Wentian was intentionally toying with him, treating him like a fool? At this moment, all his so-called courage had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only incompetence and stupidity. With a wah sound, Yingting coughed out another mouthful of blood. He was so angry that he actually fainted. Such a scene caused everyone to have a look of astonishment on their faces. That fellow was so ruthless. He actually injured a heaven's chosen and caused him to faint. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, he didn't even make a single move. It was as if Yingting was the one who humiliated himself. Qin Wentian didn't look at Yingting anymore. He continued walking forward. For a character like Yingting, if he didn't see him again, he would have already forgotten about him. However, since Yingting wanted to humiliate him so badly, he didn't mind playing along with Yingting. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already taken 63 steps, which was the number 7 by 9. If he continued forward, he would enter the number 8 by 9. Many people had solemn expressions on their faces, exclaiming in admiration at Qin Wentian's performance. Whether it was against the immortal treading steps or the confidence of toying with Yingting in the palm of his hand, everyone could feel the sharpness of his aura. It was as if he really wanted to challenge the number 9 by 9. The 64 steps was the beginning of the number 8 by 9. However, when Qin Wentian's foot landed, it was as steady as a boulder. That frail body of his was like a stone pillar that pierced through the heavens, not wavering in the slightest because of that crushing force. What was even more terrifying was that Qin Wentian managed to walk all the way here in one breath. At this moment, Qin Wentian could already feel an immense pressure. This Shizhong wall was extremely powerful. The law energy he was proficient in seemed to be reflected back at him, baptizing his flesh and blood, allowing him to comprehend it himself. Every impact was like the sound of a morning bell ringing in his body. However, it was still unable to shake him. This was naturally because of his perfect physique and unparalleled bloodline. Qin Wentian's cultivation path was too solid. He had a perfect immortal foundation, an indestructible body like that of a fiend god, and a powerful bloodline. He had no weaknesses, it was naturally hard to break him. However, in front of Qin Wentian there were still some powerful geniuses. At the 75th step there was an extremely powerful character. The aura he exuded was extremely sharp, containing the aura of a king. His sword intent gushed forth, piercing straight into the Stonebell rampart. This man was none other than Gu Shao, a disciple of the Supreme Sword School. He was an innate sword king. Back then, Qin Wentian had once met him in the royal palace of the Evergreen Kingdom. The Supreme Sword School joined forces with the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom to threaten the Evergreen Kingdom, and issued a challenge. Back then, Gu Shao was one of the participants and his combat prowess was extremely tyrannical. Defeating and humiliating a third-rate genius, would that make you feel more confident? Gu Zhao's tone was as sharp as his sword. Back then, Qin Wentian's incomparably arrogant performance in the Evergreen Kingdom Palace had angered many geniuses from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, as well as the Supreme Sword School. This Gu Shao actually mocked Yingteng, saying that Yingteng was merely a third-rate heaven's chosen. Indeed, when compared to him who was an innate sword king, Yingteng truly didn't qualify as a second-rate heaven's chosen. This Gu Shao could reach the 75th step, and was only 6 steps away from the endpoint. From this, one could see how powerful he was. In addition, no one knew if he still had the potential to advance further. Qin Wentian inclined his head and glanced at Gu Shao as he calmly replied, "It doesn't matter if I'm confident or not. My confidence doesn't need to depend on humiliating others to raise it. It's just that for those who want to humiliate me, I don't mind returning the favor to them. Regardless of third-rate geniuses or truly terrifying geniuses, it's all the same." This fellow. Several geniuses felt their hearts trembling. After injuring Yingting by toying with him, Qin Wentian was going to issue a challenge to Gu Shao who just reached the 75th step? Regardless of third-rate geniuses or truly terrifying geniuses, it's all the same. The meaning behind this sentence was extremely clear. Regardless of Yingting or Gu Shao, it's all the same. Gu Zhao's lips curled into a cold smile. His foot, which hadn't moved for a long time, finally moved once more. A supreme sword might pierce through the air, akin to a myriad of swords piercing through his heart, aiming for Gu Zhao's body. However, he simply stood there like a sword piercing through the heavens. With a single step, he took the 76th step. Using a domineering step, he replied to Qin Wentian's words. There were only 5 more steps left before Gu Shao would reach the endpoint. How powerful! How difficult would it be to challenge Gu Shao? The hearts of the crowd trembled. Other than that, from the 73rd step to the 81st step, there were still several experts present. Each position represented a terrifying genius. Chapter 1168. Gu Shao 76 steps. As his foot landed, the sound of the bell reverberated through the air. As long as Gu Shao willed it, the sound of the bell could be heard from afar. And at this moment Qin Wentian 64 steps. Although there seemed to be only a distance of 12 steps, everyone in the academy knew that if one wanted to step on the final few footprints, it would be akin to ascending the stairway to the heavens. It was incomparably dangerous. How difficult would it be to cross the final step? Qin Wentian stood there. When he saw Gu Shao domineeringly stepping out to reply to him, a smile flashed on his face. He calmly stood in the midst of the tempest, allowing the boundless energy to blast into his flesh, bones, and blood. However, he still stood there with his hands clasped behind his back. His robes fluttered in the wind, exuding a supreme grace. Just like what he had said, regardless of whether it was Yingting or Gu Shao, there was no need for him to compare himself with them. He came here only because he wanted to meet Qing Er earlier. But since Yingting took the initiative to provoke and humiliate him, he wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson that he wouldn't forget. As the King of Swords in the Supreme Sword School, Gu Shao was clearly much more outstanding compared to Yingting. But even if Gu Shao challenged him with this step, Qin Wentian would naturally accept it. 76 steps, is it very strong? Qin Wentian mumbled. As the sound of his voice faded, a huge wave of commotion swept through the crowd. Many stared at him in astonishment. 76 steps, very strong? How could it be merely strong? With the existence of the stone bell rampart, there were only a handful of people who could cross the 72nd step of the stone bell rampart. Every step after that was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The 76th step wasn't an ordinary level of strength. Qin Wentian's words were simply ridiculous. This fellow dares to provoke Gu Shao, yet he doesn't know how strong the 76 steps are. Right now, he's at the 64th step. These 12 steps are enough to kill him several times over. The crowd said without hesitation. They had all tried it before and knew how terrifying the Shizhong wall was. However, as they were discussing, Qin Wentian also took a step forward. On the 65th step, celestial light shone around him, and a terrifying power pierced through Qin Wentian's body, causing his muscles and bones to tremble and his blood to roar. The celestial light on his body continued to shine, becoming stronger and stronger. Stand still. The gazes of the crowd froze, but before they had the time to be shocked, they saw Qin Wentian lifting his foot again. He took the 66th step, becoming an immortal with a single step. His body was surrounded by 7-colored immortal light. Various kinds of energies penetrated his body, wanting to destroy him. However, his steps were still as steady as a boulder. His handsome face and slightly frail body stood there like a mountain unshakable. Is he courting death? Heavy expressions appeared on the faces of the crowd. Back then, that terrifying genius was also killed here. He took over 60 steps in a single breath, and the stone bell rampart energy within his body was so terrifying that it was sufficient to kill someone. Qin Wentian actually took so many steps in such a short period of time? The violent energy accumulated in his body had no way to quench it. Did he want to walk down the same path as that genius? Boom, boom, boom. He took 3 consecutive steps, and there seemed to be a marvelous rhythm to it. It was as though the sound of the great Tao of heaven and earth was reverberating through the air. A storm of wind and rain gushed forth from Qin Wentian. There was a supreme pressure there, and the bell chimes within his body felt as though they could erupt at any moment. However, the light radiating from Qin Wentian's body was incomparably resplendent, akin to a fiend god. The radiance he emitted was simply unexcelled in the world, forcibly suppressing the rampaging energy within his body. At this moment, Qin Wentian had already taken 69 steps. Breaking the record for the number of steps he took in a single breath. He was even further compared to that heaven-chosen who was killed by the Shizhong wall. However, Qin Wentian naturally didn't die. Many people had heavy expressions on their faces. Many geniuses who were surpassed by Qin Wentian opened their eyes and stared at Qin Wentian. There was actually such a terrifying person who could use his tyrannical physique and tyrannical bloodline to suppress the energy of the Shizhong wall? Naturally, this was only the beginning of the shock. Because Qin Wentian still didn't rest. His body moved forward and he lifted his foot again. His movements were so natural, like he was walking on flat ground. There was no pause at all, exuding an extraordinary grace. This step was already the 70th step. As his foot landed, the glow of God's hand radiated from him. For a moment, a towering light radiated from his body, illuminating the entire space. Qin Wentian basked in that light as the bell chimes rang out. It was as though he was being suppressed there, causing his body to tremble violently. The Shizhong wall was very powerful. Qin Wentian could clearly sense that it wasn't an ordinary level of strength. This Shizhong wall had already locked onto his aura and copied his attribute energy. After that, the ancient bells on the wall started to reverberate back to him, cleansing his muscles, bones, blood, and flesh, battering against his immortal foundation, wanting to use his energy to destroy himself. However, if he could endure it, he could also use the energy to cleanse his body. However, although the Shizhong wall was powerful, how many Qin Wentians were there in this sacred academy? A perfect and flawless immortal foundation, a powerful physique, and the power of God's hand. This body of his was simply at the pinnacle of physical strength. As for his bloodline, wasn't it also incomparably tyrannical? He stood there, his long robes fluttering in the wind. The terrifying bell chimes were unable to affect him at all. The 71st step was completed. As this step landed, there were only 10 steps left. As this step landed, there were only 5 steps left to Gu Shao. As this step landed, he continued to break the record. As this step landed, the hearts of everyone trembled. Stepping out 71 steps in a single breath, even if Qin Wentian was killed, it was already sufficient to stun the entire Sacred Academy. Being able to reach this step was already something worthy of pride. The gazes of many people when they looked at Qin Wentian changed, turning heavy. Was 76 steps very powerful? This was Qin Wentian's words. Before this he sounded arrogant and ignorant. But from the looks of it now, wasn't it also because of his absolute confidence? Maybe Qin Wentian would really be able to do it. If he could do it, there was no doubt that it would be a ruthless slap to Gu Zhao's face. Gu Zhao stabilized his steps. Clearly, he had also noticed the domineering Qin Wentian. 71 steps. He knew that he wouldn't be able to do it. However, he wouldn't feel that he was inferior to Qin Wentian because of this. In fact, there was a trace of jealousy in his heart. This was human nature, it had nothing to do with one's strength. At this moment, Qin Wentian wasn't thinking about Gu Zhao. He could feel the raging storm of energy in his body that could crush everything. Right now, he was only thinking about moving forward. At the instant he stepped out, whether it was Gu Zhao or Yingting, all of that was secondary. He had never looked at Yingting in the eye before. Back then, Yingting was already inferior to him. Could it be that Yingting could surpass him now? If that was the case, he would have wasted all these years of cultivation. As for Gu Zhao, although he was strong, Qin Wentian still didn't view him as a formidable opponent. Maybe in his subconsciousness, Qin Wentian felt that Gu Zhao didn't have the qualifications to do so. The final step of the 8x9, the 72nd step, was completed. Everyone could feel the tremors in this space as the bell chimes reverberated unceasingly. An incomparably intense radiance shot out from the Shizhong wall. Even from extremely far away, everyone could see the phenomenon occurring on the Shizhong wall. From afar, at the place where Qin Wentian was previously at, the two geniuses were violently fighting. The spectators in the surroundings all felt the tremors in the direction of the Shizhong wall. They inclined their heads and stared in that direction as strange expressions appeared on their faces. Today, the direction of the Shizhong wall was somewhat abnormal. Could it be that a powerful character had started to move away from his original position? Could it be that fellow? Someone thought of Qin Wentian who appeared earlier. However, they soon shook their heads. That fellow was truly laughable. How could he possibly affect the tremors of the Shizhong wall? In addition, he had just arrived at the Shizhong wall not too long ago. But to be able to witness the phenomenon occurring on the Shizhong wall, that fellow could already be considered quite lucky. In front of the Shizhong wall, Qin Wentian was currently enduring the terrifying impact. He paused for a moment as his body glowed with an intense radiance, terrifying to the extreme. The accumulated energy in one's body is getting stronger and stronger. Taking a step in one breath is truly difficult. No wonder there were people who couldn't withstand it and were killed by the tremors. Sometimes when one reaches the end it would be hard to get off the tiger. Qin Wentian silently thought in his heart. The might of the Shizhong wall was the most terrifying, and the impact on one's body was the strongest. However, he didn't hesitate. He lifted his foot again as the light of truth shimmered faintly. Countless runic inscriptions circulated around his body as Qin Wentian stepped out. There were 81 steps in the Shizhong wall. There were only 9 steps left. Qin Wentian took the first step, the 73rd step. Boom! A dull sound rang out. Within the dullness, an extraordinary might could be felt. The earth trembled and even the ancient hall started to tremble, as though it could collapse at any moment. Those experts who were spectating the battle earlier felt their hearts trembling, as they felt that the Shizhong wall was becoming more and more abnormal. In the other places, the geniuses from the various powers raised their heads and stared in the direction of the Shizhong wall. Their eyes gleamed with sharpness. It was unknown which genius had taken the final step, causing the ground to tremble continuously. From this, one could see how violent the might was and how terrifying the accumulated energy was. The 73rd step. The hearts of everyone in front of the Shizhong wall trembled violently. Qin Wentian actually took the 72nd step and continued forward. At this moment they couldn't help but to be impressed by Qin Wentian. Such a character was extremely rare in the Sacred Academy. There had never been such a character before. Even for him back then, although he managed to take the 81st step and established an incomparably perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, He didn't manage to take the 70th step in a single breath. Such a method was simply insane. In many places, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The experts from the various powers all felt the tremors as their expressions turned heavy, as they stared in the direction of the Shizhong wall. How powerful! At this moment, Qin Wentian truly felt the essence of the Shizhong wall. It was too powerful. He could feel a fearsome might accumulating within his body. Once it erupted, it might really destroy him. At this moment, he was truly stuck between a rock and a hard place. He could only continue forward, using force to break force. His supreme physique radiated a startling light as his saint-grade immortal foundation manifested. Attribute energy circulated around him, transforming into a divine glow. Qin Wentian lifted his foot again and took the 74th step. The rumbling sounds continued, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble once more. From afar, the experts from the various powers all turned their gazes over here. In fact, the two geniuses who fought against Qin Wentian earlier also stopped their battle as they inclined their heads and stared in the direction of the Shizhong wall. What happened over there? Did that expert from the Supreme Sword School unleash his might? Or could it be that expert from the Myriad Devil Islands who started his path of rampage? Or was it that prince from the Sanluo Immortal Empire who started his journey? Chapter 1169. Within the Sacred Academy, many experts stared in the direction of the Shizhong wall. If it was just a single tremor, it would be normal and they wouldn't pay too much attention to it. But for the wall to tremble so many times in such a short period of time, it was extremely abnormal. The experts of the Sacred Academy were all waiting to see who it was that caused the Shizhong wall to tremble. Before the Shizhong wall, the gazes of the experts were all focused on Qin Wentian. They had personally witnessed Qin Wentian advancing, and they clearly understood how shocking Qin Wentian's achievements were. Qin Wentian, from the first step, he directly advanced to the 74th step. In the history of the Sacred Academy, there had never been anyone who could achieve such a feat, not even that person. Occasionally, the crowd saw a silhouette standing beside Qin Wentian. It was Gu Xiao from the Supreme Sword School. He used the 76th step to counterattack Qin Wentian. At that time, Qin Wentian was still over 50 steps away. But now, the gap between the two of them was actually only 2 steps. Although at this level, 2 steps was like a heavenly moat, extremely difficult to cross, the spectators no longer thought so, because Qin Wentian stepped forward in a single breath. This indicated that Qin Wentian could easily accomplish what Gu Xiao did. However, Gu Xiao wouldn't be able to do what Qin Wentian did. Even if Qin Wentian had yet to surpass Gu Xiao, it was already clear who was stronger and who was weaker. Not only that, as long as Qin Wentian could stabilize the violent energy in his body, these 2 steps wouldn't pose a problem to him. Naturally, they also understood that these 2 steps were extremely difficult. If they were not careful, Qin Wentian's life might be taken away. The 74th step. At this moment, Qin Wentian could clearly feel the terrifying pressure. The drumbeats reverberated from the inside out, incomparably violent. For the last 9 steps, each step he took caused his attribute energy to increase exponentially. He knew that if he continued, the might of the steps would be even more terrifying. The further he went, the more difficult it would be. Drawing in a deep breath, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. The rumbling sounds in his body seemed to be ceaseless. His bloodline was roaring frenziedly, transforming into a sea of blood. That sea of blood churned violently as countless bell chimes blasted out, wanting to destroy it. At the same time, Qin Wentian's body was also enduring the fearsome attacks. The attribute energies gushed into his bones, unceasingly cleansing his body. He could faintly sense that all of his bones were ringing with the power of a bell. This time Qin Wentian paused for a long time. Everyone stared at him, waiting quietly. To be able to reach this step, how difficult was it? Even if Qin Wentian couldn't continue, it was already enough for him to be proud of himself. But just when they were feeling doubtful, Qin Wentian lifted his foot and took another step forward. On the stone bell rampart, boundless resplendent light flashed, shooting up into the clouds as terrifying bell chimes blasted into his body. A supreme immortal might directly permeated his body, causing Qin Wentian's body to tremble violently, as though he would be destroyed at any moment. At this moment, the entire Sacred Academy trembled once more. The 75th step. Everyone was speechless. The formation on the ground was akin to the shock in their hearts. In the end, Qin Wentian still managed to take the 75th step. But at this moment their eyes abruptly narrowed. They only saw Qin Wentian advancing once more. An extremely oppressive aura engulfed the entire space, causing the entire area to tremble unceasingly. This time around Qin Wentian took 2 steps forward, directly reaching the 76th step, standing shoulder to shoulder with Gu Xiao. The crowd stared fixedly ahead, staring at Qin Wentian's trembling body. As the frequency of the trembling slowed, Qin Wentian's body also gradually stabilized. His long robes fluttered in the wind as he stood there, as though he was the only existence in the entire world. In such a short period of time, Qin Wentian had already taken the 76th step, accomplishing something that everyone thought was impossible. Gu Xiao had spent a long time before he reached this step. In fact, from the 75th step to the 76th step, he had spent a long time preparing for it. Before this, Gu Xiao used the 76th step to forcefully respond to Qin Wentian, because he felt that this step was his pride and Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to accomplish it. But Qin Wentian did it. In fact, he did it on the spot. At this moment, Gu Xiao's countenance sank. He was speechless. To him now, what else could he say? The 76th step, is it very strong? Qin Wentian turned his gaze ahead. He didn't look at Gu Xiao as he calmly spoke. However, his words were like a resounding slap to Gu Xiao's face. Earlier when Qin Wentian spoke these words, everyone felt that he didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. They felt that he was arrogant and ignorant. But at this moment no one felt that way anymore, because Qin Wentian himself was already standing at the 76th step. When Gu Xiao heard Qin Wentian's words, he actually didn't know how to refute. Qin Wentian used the truth to slap his face. Unless he could do what Qin Wentian did, no matter what he said, it would all be useless. The ground continued to tremble. The tremors continued for a long time. Yingting, who had fainted earlier, slowly woke up. He glanced ahead and saw the location where Qin Wentian was standing at. He only felt a stifling sensation in his chest as he coughed out another mouthful of blood. His countenance was as pale as paper, devoid of any color. From afar many experts sped over. Evidently, the commotion at the Shizhong Wall had attracted many geniuses over. When they saw that the person who caused the commotion at the Sacred Academy wasn't Gu Xiao, nor was he from the Myriad Devil Islands or the Sanluo Immortal Empire, all of them had shocked expressions on their faces. This person didn't seem to be at the Shizhong Wall earlier, right? Could it be that he just arrived recently and directly stepped into the Shizhong Wall? Damn, it's him. Many people came to the place where Qin Wentian was before. When they saw Qin Wentian's silhouette, all of them couldn't help but to rub their eyes. What's wrong with this world? Didn't he just arrive here? 76 steps? It hasn't even been an hour, right? He actually took 76 steps? This is too crazy. This fellow is truly going to rise to fame in a single day. Who said that he just entered the Sacred Academy? As the saying goes, he must be someone from another Sacred Academy, and is here to challenge our entire Sacred Academy. That's right, directly taking 76 steps. This is a challenge, suppressing everyone. As the voices of discussion rang out, only now did everyone know that Qin Wentian actually took 76 steps. How terrifying. Proclaiming yourself as a king and actually thinking that you are a king? You don't know how high the heavens are and how many geniuses are there. Qin Wentian's entire body radiated a terrifying might. He closed his eyes and stood there as he coldly spoke. He didn't come here for Gu Xiao. It was Gu Xiao who spoke so rudely. In that case, he naturally wouldn't mind suppressing Gu Xiao's arrogance. He, Qin Wentian, had never been a magnanimous person. He would repay kindness with kindness and repay grudges with grudges. The Supreme Sword School participated in the adjudication battle. No matter how one looked at it, there was no need for him to be polite to Gu Xiao. Gu Xiao's entire body felt as though there were tens of thousands of swords galloping around him. At this moment his aura actually started to fluctuate. He had no way to maintain his composure. But at this very moment, Qin Wentian lifted his foot again and took the 77th step. Boom! A powerful bell chime reverberated through the air. Beams of light shot up into the sky, causing the earth to tremble. On the surface of the Shizhong Wall, The divine inscriptions on the Shizhong wall frenziedly focused on Qin Wentian. Other than the boundless might gushing over, there was also a terrifying surge of immortal energy gushing over from the heavens and earth. For a period of time, a heaven-shaking tempest manifested. Innate King of Swords? Can you do this step? Qin Wentian didn't turn his head, he stared ahead as he spoke. But everyone understood who he was talking to. Gu Xiao also understood. Qin Wentian's voice was accompanied by the chimes of the bell, ringing out in Gu Xiao's heart. The aura in his body started to grow chaotic, like a tempest, unable to be stabilized. With a thunderous roar, sword intent gushed forth from the heavens and earth, frenziedly wreaking havoc. However, an even stronger might erupted forth from the Shizhong wall, unceasingly slamming into Gu Xiao's body. At this moment, Gu Xiao finally couldn't endure it any longer, and was directly flung through the air. In an instant, his body was pierced through by tens of thousands of swords as fresh blood gushed out unceasingly. Gu Xiao. The countenances of several experts drastically changed. They soared into the air and caught Gu Xiao's body. Their countenances were ashen. Gu Xiao was actually forced out of the Shizhong wall by Qin Wentian using words and was heavily injured, subduing the enemy without even fighting. What a powerful character! Everyone felt shock in their hearts. They understood the Shizhong wall. If they couldn't defend it, they would suffer a backlash from the supreme might of the Shizhong wall and might even be killed on the spot. Qin Wentian domineeringly surpassed Gu Xiao and used words to provoke him. Even for someone as strong as Gu Xiao, he couldn't control his heart and fell into Qin Wentian's trap. This fellow was truly merciless to his enemies. Qin Wentian disturbed Gu Xiao's state of mind, causing him to be injured. However, he himself closed his eyes and guarded his heart, not allowing the Shizhong wall to have any chance to exploit him. That boundless energy gushed through his muscles, bones, flesh and blood, as well as his immortal foundation. Qin Wentian's comprehension of the attribute energies he possessed grew deeper and deeper, wanting to infuse them into every single particle of his body. More and more experts rushed over. Qin Wentian himself closed his eyes. 2 hours later, he lifted his foot and stepped out once more. The 78th step landed. The space trembled once more. This time around, Qin Wentian paused for an even longer period of time. Only after several hours did the energy in his body accumulate to the point of eruption. Only then did he step out once more. The 79th step landed. The sacred academy trembled as light towered up into the sky. All the geniuses stared at Qin Wentian as shock filled their hearts. There was actually someone who could consecutively take 79 steps in a single day. This was unprecedented, and it would be hard for anyone to accomplish this in the future. Just 2 more steps and he would be able to bring this miracle to an end. However, would Qin Wentian be able to do it? At this moment, everyone could see the trembling of Qin Wentian's body. Boundless energy gathered in his body, unable to erupt. Once it erupted, it would be able to shake the heavens and earth. This time around, Qin Wentian didn't step out for a very long time. However, everyone was waiting. They stood at their original locations, wanting to see if he could complete the last 2 steps or not. Half a day later, Qin Wentian finally moved. As the 80th step landed, the supreme might of the Shizhong wall entered his body. Boundless bell chimes reverberated through the air. Qin Wentian's body transformed into an ancient bell of heaven and earth, causing the entire sacred academy to tremble. Qin Wentian completed the 80th step. Only the last step was left. At this moment, more and more experts gathered. Even Huang Wudi was here. The faces of the people from the 9 emperors' immortal state were ashen. They were guarding the entrance, but Qin Wentian had slipped in. Just 1 more step and Qin Wentian would be able to do what that existence from the 9 emperors' immortal state had done. Huang Wudi looked at Qin Wentian and suddenly shouted, "Qin Wentian, he has officially announced that he will pursue the daughter of Evergreen Qing. Since he has spoken, from now on Qing'er is his woman, the woman of the 9 emperors' immortal state." Everyone's eyes flashed. This Huang Wudi, without a doubt, was trying to disrupt Qin Wentian's indomitable will. At this moment, if there was even the slightest mistake, Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to take the last step, and he might even be consigned to eternal damnation. Huang Wudi's voice was ruthless enough. Chapter 1170. Huang Wudi's voice boomed out. Qin Wentian clearly heard it. Before this, Qin Wentian used words to provoke Gu Xiao, causing Gu Xiao's state of mind to waver, resulting in him being heavily injured by the Shizhong wall. And now Huang Wuti wanted to use a similar method to force Qin Wentian to lose control of his state of mind. The him Huang Wuti was referring to was naturally that peak-level character, who once completed the 81 steps and established his saint-grade immortal foundation. It was rumored that he once said that the daughter of the Chongqing the Great wasn't bad, and many people believed that Qing'er would become his woman. Also, Qin Wentian seemed to have an extraordinary relationship with that young man. In that case, Huang Wuti's words at this moment would undoubtedly cause Qin Wentian to be in a very miserable state. Qin Wentian had already completed the 80th step. It was much more dangerous compared to Gu Zhao's 76th step. The people of the Nine Emperors' immortal state didn't wish to see him completing the 81st step, accomplishing what the supreme genius of their Nine Emperors' immortal state had done. He said they are his women, so they are his women. What a joke. Can he do what Qin Wentian did, consecutively completing the 80th step on the Shizhong wall? All of a sudden, a voice rang out coldly. In that case, Qin Wentian said that he is the princess of your Nine Emperors' immortal state and all the princesses are his women. Does your Nine Emperors' immortal state have to send all the princesses up there? The gazes of everyone turned to the person who spoke, only to see a group of people standing together, exuding an extraordinary aura. Also, the auras they exuded were all somewhat similar. I will remember this sentence of yours. Huang Wuti stared at the person who spoke with no expression on his face. After that, he turned his gaze back to Qin Wentian, whose aura was fluctuating wildly. Once upon a time there were a few outstanding geniuses who managed to reach the 80th step. However, all of them failed at the final step, causing cracks to appear on their immortal foundations. Only that younger brother of his managed to break through and establish a perfect saint-grade immortal foundation, reaching the 81st step. Wanting to complete this step might be even more difficult compared to the previous 80 steps added together. He wanted to see Qin Wentian being forced down. Qin Wentian naturally also heard Huang Wuti's words. At this moment he was currently enduring an overwhelming force. The countless particles in his body seemed to be filled with that force. The bell chimes rang unceasingly as his body trembled unceasingly. At this moment, if his state of mind was affected by Huang Wuti's words, even Qin Wentian himself admitted that he would be heavily injured. In fact, his body might even shatter and shatter. But would Qin Wentian be affected by a single sentence from Qin Wentian? Would the feelings between him and Qing'er be distorted by a single sentence from Huang Wuti? Qin Wentian didn't know who he was, but he knew who he was and who Qing'er was. Boundless energy circulated within Qin Wentian. At this instant, Qin Wentian's body seemed to contain a powerful encompassing energy. After that, under the shocked gazes of everyone, he actually didn't stop to calm the violent energy. Instead, he lifted his foot and stepped forward. This fellow. The eyes of everyone widened as their hearts pounded. He actually wanted to take the 80th step and the 81st step? Has he gone mad? Boundless energy gushed forth from the Shizhong wall, engulfing the entire space. A supreme might gushed forth, converging into a tempest that gushed into Qin Wentian's body. The wind and clouds howled in the airspace above the sacred academy. At this instant, the geniuses who were cultivating far away all inclined their heads and stared at the sacred academy. Such a scene had only appeared once before in the sacred academy. Once there was a prince of the Nine Emperors' immortal state named Shatian. He took the 81st step on the Shizhong wall, causing the sacred academy to shake as the wind and clouds howled. He broke through to the immortal foundation realm, and from then on, there was no one in the sacred academy who didn't know of Huang Shatian. After that, there were several other powerful geniuses who went to challenge Huang Shatian. Without exception, all of them were crushed by the cruelest of methods. After a few battles, no one else dared to challenge Huang Shatian. And today the sacred academy shook once again. The rumbling of the wind and clouds, as well as the tremors of the earth, felt like déjà vu. At the location where the Shizhong wall was located, a supreme aura gushed forth, gushing towards the sacred academy. Qin Wentian's foot landed on the ground. The supreme energy bore down on Qin Wentian, frenziedly battering his body. Qin Wentian's body trembled violently, like a candle flickering in the wind, about to be extinguished at any moment. The tyrannical attribute energies gushed into him, causing Qin Wentian's Saint-grade immortal foundation to tremble violently, emitting cracking sounds as though it was on the verge of shattering. Only to see Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly shut as boundless energy gushed into his body. Faintly, he could feel a surge of immortal might. If he resisted, he would only be destroyed, crushed by this might. The bell chimes rang out unceasingly. His body was unable to endure it any longer. He could sense the attribute energies gushing into his body. Every single part of his body was filled with bell chimes. These bell chimes gushed into his mind, resonating with his past, evoking his memories. He recalled his cultivation experiences from when he was young until now. He recalled the condensation of each of his astral souls. He recalled the love he had with Qingsheng back in Chu, and he recalled the time when Qinger protected him. These bell chimes were like the bells of the great Tao. At that instant, he no longer madly resisted that irresistible power. Instead, he let nature take its course and allowed it to cleanse his body. Bell chimes seeped out from every part of his body, and when they spread out, they gathered into the sound of the great Tao that resounded in the world. Everyone stared nervously at Qin Wentian's silhouette. At this moment, more and more experts rushed over, staring in shock at the scene before them. There was actually another person who managed to take the final step out of the Shizhong wall. It was just that in the past, only one person succeeded. Would this person be able to stand firm on the final step? In the midst of the boundless tempest, Qin Wentian's body seemed extremely tiny. However, his conviction was extremely strong. At this moment, he inclined his head and stared at the sky as a warm smile flashed in his eyes. In his gaze, the tempest in the sky seemed to converge into the form of Qinger's beautiful silhouette. Incomparably terrifying bell chimes gushed forth from Qin Wentian's body. At this moment, the sound of the bell chimes transformed into the sound of flowing water, echoing throughout the heavens and earth. Qinger, I miss you. This voice seemed to echo out together with the bell chimes, ringing out to every corner of this sacred academy. At this moment, even those who didn't rush over all inclined their heads and stared up at the sky. When the bell chimes rang out by their ears, they could actually sense a deep sense of camaraderie, as well as longing for their loved ones or loved ones. What a powerful intent. Everyone sighed in their hearts. They were all powerful stellar martial cultivators. Yet the sound of the great Tao that accompanied the bell chimes actually caused them to feel an intense sense of camaraderie, causing them to sink into it. This person at the Shizhong wall completed the 81 steps, becoming the second person in the Sacred Academy to do so. 81 steps on the Shizhong wall, all for the sake of telling the girl named Qinger that I miss you. Everyone sighed in their hearts. How glorious was this? This was even more admirable compared to those who pursued strength. For the sake of a single sentence, he stepped on the Shizhong wall, not fearing danger. Most probably, it would be hard to find a second person like this in the Sacred Academy. In a certain direction of the Sacred Academy, a group of beautiful maidens stood there. They were all feeling shock in their hearts, trying to guess who it was that managed to successfully temper himself on the Shizhong wall, causing the entire Sacred Academy to tremble. At this moment, a voice drifted over. Qinger, I miss you. This voice rang out together with the bell chimes, resonating in their hearts, causing them to unknowingly feel a sense of warmth in their hearts. They could clearly feel the longing in their hearts. Several maidens turned their gazes over, staring at the Shizhong wall. Their beautiful eyes all gleamed with a bright light. There was actually someone who wanted to borrow the Shizhong wall to express their longing to her. That Shizhong wall was none other than Qinger. The voice of longing rang out together with the bell chimes, as though it was just an inch away from her, speaking to her. At this moment, the coldness on her face instantly melted away. Her beautiful eyes similarly flickered with a hint of longing. With a flash, Qinger's silhouette flickered as she sped forward. How could she not know who this voice originated from? How could she not feel the emotions in that voice? The maidens behind her exchanged glances only to hear one of them laughing. How romantic! As they spoke, their silhouettes flickered as well, following behind Qinger, rushing towards the Shizhong wall. Qinger heard it. Huang Shatian naturally heard it as well. Everyone in the Sacred Academy heard it as well. The spectating heavens chosen also rushed towards the Shizhong wall. They all wanted to see what kind of person was able to complete the 81 steps of the Shizhong wall to express his longing. Not only that, the people of the Sacred Academy would never forget the existence of Huang Shatian. This cultivator had already accomplished a miracle before today. The people of the Sacred Academy would never forget his evaluation of Qing'er. Many people believed that Qing'er would be his woman. In that case, this heaven's chosen who had also completed the 81 steps of the Shizhong Wall. Was this considered a formal reply to Huang Shatian? Before the Shizhong Wall, everyone stared at Qin Wentian. Boundless energy from the heavens and earth flowed into the Shizhong Wall, transforming into supreme energy that rushed into Qin Wentian's body. After that, the energy then flowed out from Qin Wentian's body, circulating like this, transforming into ancient bell chimes, causing the words of longing to reverberate unceasingly in the air. Such a confession was sufficient to cause the jealousy of many women. More and more people arrived before the Shizhong Wall. When they saw the silhouette of Qin Wentian, that young man basking in boundless light, the glow of his immortal foundation grew increasingly resplendent. He stood stably on the 81 steps, creating another miracle other than Huang Shatian, a miracle that no one else could break. Could it be that for the final step, only those with a saint-grade immortal foundation would be able to endure it? A thought appeared in the hearts of everyone. Huang Shatian established his saint-grade immortal foundation there. Hence he succeeded. Qin Wentian himself originally had a saint-grade immortal foundation, yet he succeeded as well. Also, Qin Wentian's success was even more shocking compared to Huang Shatian's. Within a single day, he completed the 81 steps. These 81 steps were a form of longing for Qing'er, and also a reply to the experts of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Chapter 1171. Qin Wentian still stood in front of the Shizhong Wall, as though he was undergoing the baptism of the Shizhong Wall. The sound of the bell of remembrance reverberated unceasingly. Qin Wentian's immortal foundation was extremely resplendent as his immortal might soared up bit by bit. His bones and blood were all infused with his own attribute energy, causing his body of flesh and blood to become even more perfect. This fellow has a fiend celestial-like body. Originally it was already perfect enough. Now that he has undergone the baptism of the Shizhong Wall, his body would surely become even more flawless. Everyone mused silently. Given this young man's talent, if it wasn't for the fact that his cultivation base was slightly lower, he would most probably be another character on the level of Huang Shatian, able to roam unhindered in the Sacred Academy. However, Qin Wentian's potential was absolutely shocking. In the future, he would definitely be a terrifying character. One could foresee that as long as he didn't die, he would definitely have a place in the immortal realms in the future. The experts of the 9 emperors' immortal state all had unsightly expressions on their faces. Qin Wentian ultimately still took the final step. The supreme character of their 9 emperors' immortal state, Huang Shatian, was no longer the only one. Also, Qin Wentian borrowed the Shizhong Wall to announce that he missed Qing'er of the Sacred Academy. From their point of view, this was undoubtedly a form of retaliation against them. At this moment, many of the people gathered in front of the Shizhong Wall recognized Qin Wentian. Before this, the Sacred Academy that Qin Wentian was in was mostly filled with demonic beasts or demonic cultivators. But in this Sacred Academy, there were even more human cultivators. There were experts from all the major powers in the immortal realms scattered here. For example, Yingting and some of the experts from the Ying clan, some experts from the Namhuang clan, Zhangziyu, and some experts from the Zhang clan, Tenlan Heaven Kingdom, Dongshangshan Gate, Ziti Sect, Supreme Sword School, Celestial Palace, etc. There were experts of different levels in this Sacred Academy. At this moment, there were naturally some who appeared here. They all recognized Qin Wentian. Other than this, there were naturally many disciples from the Heavenly Talisman realm, as well as experts from the Battle Saint tribe. When they heard Qing'er's voice, they instantly knew who was in front of the Shizhong Wall and immediately rushed here. At this moment, the Shizhong Wall could truly be said to be a gathering of geniuses. Experts gathered here because of the bell chime by Qin Wentian. At this moment, a commotion broke out among the crowd, after which sounds of battle rang out. The gazes of everyone turned over only to see a group of maidens rushing over. One of them was an iceberg-like beauty who stood in the middle, staring in the direction of Qin Wentian. In her crystal-clear eyes, it was as though only Qin Wentian existed. The daughter of the Chongqing the Great, the disciple of GD Qing'er has arrived. Many experts in the immortal realms knew that the young daughter of the Chongqing the Great was sent away when she was young, and was only brought back to the immortal empire after that. The Princess Qing'er was conferred the title of Qing'er, but not many people knew her real name. Many people thought that Qing'er was the name of Princess Qing'er, Evergreen Qing'er. This name wasn't very pleasant to the ears, but one could faintly sense the doting love the Chongqing the Great had for this young daughter of his. Naturally, there was no way to verify the truth. The crowd wasn't too interested in this. It was sufficient as long as they knew who she was. The people who blocked the path of Qing'er and her group were experts from the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Wuti and the others. What do you all mean by this? The experts beside Qing'er were none other than her sisters, disciples of GD. GD was the female immortal emperor, whose name shook the eastern regions. Her strength was extremely strong and the female disciples under her were all extraordinary characters. Qing'er joined the sect later, and was considered the junior apprentice sister among her sisters. Hence, these female disciples took good care of her. What is Princess Qing'er doing here? Huang Wuti asked. Does this have anything to do with you? The expressions of the female disciples beside Qing'er turned cold. During this period of time they had been accompanying Qing'er and had encountered quite a lot of harassment. How could they not be clear about the matters of the 9 Emperors' immortal state? These self-righteous fellows, just based on a single sentence and they thought that Qing'er would be Huang Shaishan's woman? The matters of my younger brother naturally have something to do with our 9 Emperors' immortal state. Princess Qing'er, it's best for you not to get too close to men. In case my younger brother misunderstands, Huang Wuti spoke. Instantly, the countenances of Qing'er and her group turned cold. Step aside. Qing'er's countenance was as cold as ice. She slowly walked forward. The feeling of longing was still there. Qin Wentian was right in front of her. How could she not miss him? No one could stop her. As for the people of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, she didn't know them at all and had never placed them in her heart. The auras from the experts of the 9 Emperors' immortal state gushed forth. Before this, they had already lost a battle. Huang Yuti was humiliated by Qin Wentian. This time, the matter concerned the most outstanding prince of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Shatian. No matter what, they couldn't lose face again, even if they knew that it was rude to do so. However, they were also rude. An intense spatial light shone from Qing'er's body. The senior sisters around her moved forward at the same time. Each of them radiated powerful spatial energy, only to see Qing'er's silhouette flickering in the air. It was almost impossible to catch her movements. Among the many attribute energies, spatial energy was definitely one of the most unique and powerful. Boom! From Huang Wuti, a fearsome sword might slashed apart the void. As the light flashed, the entire space was actually locked down. As expected, the maidens all had unsightly expressions on their faces. Although Huang Wuti wasn't as famous as Huang Shatian, he was also an extremely terrifying existence. This was especially so since he had already broken through to the 9th level of Immortal Foundation. Everyone, I apologize for my offense. Huang Wuti stood in the air. With him as the center, the entire space was enveloped by sword light, not allowing Qing'er to advance. Leave this to me. A female stepped out. Her cultivation base was also at the 9th level of Immortal Foundation, and she was the strongest among the disciples of GD, who entered the Sacred Academy. The spatial light radiating from her was incomparably resplendent. GD was proficient in spatial energy, and all the disciples she accepted had the talent to control spatial energy. Numerous void swords appeared on the body of this woman. All of a sudden, she swung them out, slashing at Huang Wuti. At the same time, she sliced through the barrier of swords that was obstructing her. With a flash, Qing'er and the others walked out of the barrier. But at this moment, several experts appeared before them. One of them coldly laughed. Princess Qing'er, please don't forget the verdict of the eastern regions. According to the agreement, Princess Qing'er is now a woman belonging to our Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. Sooner or later, she would have to marry into our Sky Mist Kingdom. I hope that Princess Qing'er can conduct herself with dignity. You guys are the ones who made the decision, yet you want others to follow it? What bullshit verdict of the immortal realms? A disciple of GD with an explosive temper cursed in anger. This verdict was approved by the major powers of the eastern regions. Although you are a disciple of GD, aren't your words a little too rude? Gu Xiao from the Supreme Sword School spoke. Before this, he was injured by Qin Wentian's words, and even now, his aura was still fluctuating and he had yet to fully recover. Are you guys trying to restrict the freedom of the disciples of my sect GD? The voices of the female disciples turned cold. These people were too ridiculous. Qin Wentian was still enduring the cleansing of the Shizhong wall. But at this moment, he also knew that Qing'er had arrived. His eyes abruptly opened and an instant later, the heavens and earth trembled violently. He actually took the initiative to break free from the cleansing of the Shizhong wall. After that, he stepped out from the footprint. He gave up. He actually gave up such an opportunity. Seems like there was no falsehood in the words he said earlier. Everyone sighed. Stepping on the 81 steps of the Shizhong wall, enduring the cleansing. What a rare opportunity this was. Others yearned for it, but Qin Wentian actually took the initiative to step out at this moment. Qin Wentian turned his head and stepped out. In an instant, he appeared in front of Qing'er. His gaze was filled with gentleness as he stared at that beautiful figure that had calmed down. Qing'er was getting more and more beautiful. It has been over 30 years since they last met. Qin Wentian felt as though he had been separated from her for a lifetime. His eyes were actually unwilling to part from her for even a moment. Qing'er seemed to have sensed Qin Wentian's burning gaze. She faintly avoided Qin Wentian's gaze. That cold and beautiful countenance actually revealed a hint of shyness, causing Qin Wentian to be somewhat dazed. However, what made Qin Wentian unhappy was that between him and Qing'er, there were actually people from the 9 Emperors' Immortal State and the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. Hasn't the face of the 9 Emperors' Immortal State been slapped swollen? How do you still have the face to stand here? At this moment a voice was heard. It was actually Jun Mengchen and the others who had returned from another sacred academy. Previously, when they were being chased, some escaped and some sought death and left the sky connecting world. However, Qin Wentian had already sent a voice transmission to them, asking them to gather at this sacred academy. Previously, Huang Yudi claimed to be a match for the entire world. He arrogantly said that his words were the truth. He wanted my senior brother to say such rude words. What was the result? He was attacked by my senior brother who was a realm higher than him, and had no way to retaliate. In the end he had to say that he was wrong. Such a great shame and humiliation. Yet your 9 Emperors' Immortal State could actually forget it so quickly. It's really admirable. The expressions of everyone flashed. The 4 sacred academies were connected and they knew of Huang Shatian. They naturally had also heard of Huang Yudi before. Huang Shaishan's talent was outstanding, and was said to be a match for the entire world. His talent was even more outstanding compared to Huang Wudi. Yet, he actually lost to Qin Wentian? This young man who created history was truly terrifying. Not only for Jun Mengchen and the others at this moment, many experts also walked out from the crowd. These were the experts from the Battle Saint tribe as well as the disciples from the Heavenly Talisman realm in this sacred academy. To the Battle Saint tribe, Qin Wentian was the Saint Lord. As for those from the Heavenly Talisman realm, there were some who didn't want their juniors to be bullied by others. For a period of time, the number of experts gathered in that area. Qin Wentian and the others formed a counter-encirclement. But at this moment, the experts from the Supreme Sword School also walked out from the crowd. How lively! Another voice rang out. A disciple from Zidi's sect walked out. It was none other than the person who harassed Qing'er back then. Other than him, there were several other disciples from Zidi's sect who stepped out as well. Such a chaotic scene caused expressions of interest to appear on the faces of everyone. Qin Wentian completed the 81 steps in front of the Shizhong wall and created history. The bell chimes transformed into thoughts of remembrance, attracting the experts from the Sacred Academy to gather here. It seemed like a great commotion was about to occur. Chapter 1172. The atmosphere in front of the Shizhong wall was extremely stifling. Experts from the various powers walked out one after another, and the number of spectators grew even more. At this moment, they also understood that the eastern regions of the immortal realm seemed to have initiated the adjudication battle. Many powers joined forces to deal with the Evergreen Kingdom, and Qin Wentian had formed a grudge with many powers because of this matter. So many enemies, but his cultivation base isn't high enough. Everyone laughed as they stared at Qin Wentian. They were all filled with admiration for Qin Wentian, but they couldn't mask the fact that Qin Wentian's cultivation base was still too low. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, the vast majority of people had already improved. Although the 5th level of Immortal Foundation couldn't be considered weak, it couldn't be considered strong either. Things are indeed troublesome. If one wants to become an incomparably dazzling character, they are destined to be surrounded by enemies. Let alone Qin Wentian. Back then, when Huang Shatian broke through to the 81st step, he attracted countless enemies. Huang Shatian relied on his overwhelming strength to kill so many that no one dared to challenge him. He provoked many enemies, but no one dared to make a move against him, or maybe they couldn't. They silently mused in their hearts. For those who wanted to stand at the peak, they had to endure the strongest challenges. It was extremely rare for an ancient emperor to appear in an era. For those ancient emperors in history, which one of them didn't trample on the corpses of countless experts as they advanced, killing their way to the peak of the immortal realms, becoming unrivaled under the heavens? The growth of each ancient emperor could be described as a battle epic. Qin Wentian, the people around him all treated him as the center, but his opponents all viewed him as their enemy, wanting to destroy him. Interesting, this is the first time I've seen such an interesting thing. At this moment, another voice drifted over. From the crowd, 3 monks walked out. However, other than one of them who was bald, the other 2 had hair on. This was especially so for the monk on the left. Although he was clad in monk robes, he was extraordinarily handsome and exuded an elegant demeanor. The one who spoke was the monk in the middle. He walked over and laughed in a low voice. What era is this in the immortal realms? You actually dare to forcefully snatch beauties? Qin Wentian rolled his eyes when he heard this. This person was none other than the monk Bujia. Not far away from them, there was a group of fairy-like beauties. They were none other than the fairies of the Jadestige Immortal Palace. What era is this? Even monks like to meddle in other people's business. Zidi's disciple snorted coldly, his expression slightly unfriendly. Senior brother, he dares to discriminate against us monks. Bujia hid behind the handsome monk on the left and pointed at the Zidi disciple. If you can be a busybody, why can't monks be a busybody? That handsome monk exuded a heroic aura as he coldly snorted at the Violet Emperor's disciple. Faintly, a terrifying might gushed forth, enveloping the Violet Emperor's disciple. This monk naturally can't meddle in other people's business, Zidi's disciple said. You are speaking nonsense. So what if I interfere? What about you? The handsome monk domineeringly spoke, his words causing the Zidi disciple's aura to similarly surge forth. He coldly spoke, why don't you try it? Senior brother, he insulted you. Monk Bujia pointed at the Zidi disciple as he spoke. After that, the monk's kasaya fluttered as his aura was like a raging storm. Chi! A loud shout rang out as a fearsome Buddhist energy blasted out. That Zidi disciple's face instantly turned red, feeling extremely unbearable. After that, he was forced to retreat and with a groan of misery, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His palm was placed on his chest as his expression turned extremely ugly. The Zidi disciples all stepped out as their auras surged forth. A terrifying tempest manifested and their countenances turned ashen. This monk was actually so powerful, injuring one of their fellow disciples with a single shout. What ability was this? You are truly impudent. One of them coldly spoke. The sudden appearance of this domineering monk caused a strange expression to appear on the faces of everyone. How tyrannical! For such a monk to appear in the immortal realms, some people had already guessed where they came from. Naturally, some of the major powers in the central regions like the 9 Emperors' immortal state already knew of the identities of these people. Such an unreasonable monk, I'm afraid only the monks of Wenqin Temple would do such a thing. Huang Wudi had an unhappy expression on his face. Although he wasn't familiar with the Zidi disciple, they were after all on the same side. What is reason? The handsome monk stared at Huang Wudi as he asked. Senior brother, what he means is that they are in the right when they snatch our disciples. Because they are strong and we are unreasonable, he might feel that we are weaker. Monk Bujia hid behind his senior brother as he mumbled. Junior brother, I know, I just wanted to ask him. That handsome monk gently spoke, no longer as tyrannical as before. His words caused everyone to be speechless. The monks from Wenqin Temple had always been famous for being unreasonable. However, this was the first time many people witnessed it. One was tyrannical and domineering, one was shameless, and there was even one who didn't want to speak at all. This time there are only 3 monks from Wenqin Temple who entered the Tiandao Sacred Academy: Buyu, Buchan and Bujie. Master Buyu has always been quiet, and Bujie is also a person who behaves like his Buddhist name. Only Buchan has a fiery temper. You must be, sir. However, the 9 emperors' immortal state and Wenqin Temple have never had any conflicts. The matters here are the matters of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Why would Wenqin Temple interfere? Huang Wudi spoke, his words causing strange expressions to appear on the faces of many. This Huang Wudi was actually so polite to the 3 monks of the Ascart Temple? This didn't seem to be his style. If he could suppress his opponents with his strength, Huang Wudi would always believe that his fists were the law. Junior brother, why should we interfere? Buchan stared at Bujie as he asked. Senior brother, as cultivators of the Buddhist sect, we pay particular attention to the state of our hearts. Back then, this brother Qin helped me before, I naturally have to repay him. Since you are my senior brother, my matters are naturally your matters as well. Bujie seriously spoke. Everyone was speechless. These 2 monks had a state of mind of their own? Junior brother's words make sense. Buchan nodded in agreement. He stared at Huang Wudi. You have also heard it. Brother Qin's matters are my matters as well. Have you guys had enough? The people from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom were somewhat unhappy. Not enough. What should we do? Buchan stared at the person who spoke. He didn't seem to be angry at all. Boom! An expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom stepped out. Since it wasn't enough, they could only fight. The cultivation base of this person was extremely powerful, at the 8th level of Immortal Foundation. He coldly roared, "Scram out here." Senior brother, Bujie's eyes widened, he couldn't help but shiver. He silently prayed for this person. There were truly people who weren't afraid of death. Buchan was extremely calm. There was no expression on his face. However, his brows twitched slightly. Those who were familiar with him all knew that this was a sign of danger. I'm used to walking, how would I know how to roll? Buchan walked out. The auras of the 2 of them suddenly turned violent. That expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom lifted his hand to attack as a supremely powerful divine elephant smashed out, smashing towards Buchan. AI, why must you do this? Bujie sighed. As the sound of his voice faded, boundless Buddhic light radiated from Buchan. He was like a golden Buddha as millions of palm imprints appeared, directly dragging the divine elephant over. At the same time, many more palm imprints shot out, blasting towards that expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. The countenance of that person changed. He unceasingly blasted out divine elephant energy, exuding an incomparably tyrannical might. However, he only saw numerous gigantic palm imprints blasting over, causing the space around him to tremble unceasingly. The terrifying palm imprints whistled through the air, enveloping this entire space. That expert from the Skymist Immortal Empire explosively retreated. The gigantic palm imprints extended outwards, directly trapping his opponent within. The palm imprints transformed into a sealed space. The spectators couldn't even see the silhouette of the Skymist Immortal Empire's expert. After that, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. Only the terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard. Bujie sighed unceasingly, as though he couldn't bear to watch on. The countenances of those experts from the Skymist Immortal Empire all changed. However, everything ended very quickly. When the millions of arms retracted, everyone saw that powerful expert from the Skymist Immortal Empire lying on the ground convulsing uncontrollably. His entire body was swollen as he coughed out blood and white foam. Most probably, this battle would become his nightmare. My senior brother is more low profile and has a good temper, but you guys can't insult him. Bujie was a little pained. Qin Wentian sweated. As expected, he was low profile and had a good temper. However, he didn't expect that the perverted monk would appear at this moment and help him. After all, in terms of experts, his side was the weaker side. This senior brother of Bujie should be very strong. Even Huang Wudi was a little wary. It was obvious that he wasn't an ordinary person. It was just that he didn't usually reveal his true strength. Brother Qin, look at how loyal I am. I'm not like you, denying your relationship with a beauty every time you see one. That's not nice at all. Bujie seemed to know that the princess of the Shooting Sun Kingdom had found Qin Wentian, causing Qin Wentian to roll his eyes. This monk was really resourceful. Thanks. Qin Wentian smiled. He didn't reject Bujie's help. This wasn't a fair battle but a battle. Of course, the stronger the better. Qin Wentian, this is your own battle. If you hide behind others, you won't be able to avoid it. The experts from the 9 Emperors' immortal state blocked the middle and blocked the way for Qin Wentian and Qing to meet. Your words are so boring. If this is his battle, didn't your 9 Emperors' immortal states Huanjudi lose? After being humiliated, you surrounded him. Do you want Qin Wentian to face all of you alone? Bujie was a little depressed. It is really boring. Sacred Academy can't kill people. You hit my people and I hit them back. Boring. Buchan shook his head and sighed. If you want to fight, then hurry up. Buchan, why are you in such a hurry? Are you afraid of seeing me? A calm voice spread over, causing a commotion in the crowd behind. Then they saw a group of experts walking through the air. Just one look at the person in the middle and one could tell that he wasn't ordinary. Qin Wentian turned his gaze onto him, naturally guessing the identity of this person. The royal elder brother that Huang Yudi kept mentioning should be none other than him. The person who came was the 9 Emperors' immortal states Huang Shatian. He similarly saw Qin Wentian and spoke with some surprise in his voice. I didn't expect that there would be another person who managed to complete the 81 steps. It's only normal that he was defeated by you. However, you shouldn't have humiliated him. Chapter 1173. On the surface, Huang Shatian didn't seem as tyrannical as his name suggested, wanting to kill the heavens. Instead, he seemed extremely calm. However, Qin Wentian's sharp senses could sense that Huang Shaishan's calmness contained a hint of disdain. Qin Wentian naturally guessed the identity of this person. In addition to the words of the people in the surroundings, he also knew that this Huang Shatian had also taken the 81 steps on the Shizhong wall back then. Even someone as prideful as Huang Yudi would be filled with respect when he mentioned his brother. From this, one could very well imagine how much Huang Yudi admired this Huang Shatian. Also, Qin Wentian had seen Huang Shaishan's silhouette before. On the Supreme Might Immortal rankings of the Sky Connecting Realm, his silhouette was one of the few who stood at the very peak. Being able to stand at the very top of the entire Supreme Might Immortal rankings, this indicated that even in the entire Sacred Academy, there were only a few who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. For a character like Huang Wudi, he could only stand behind him willingly. He wanted to humiliate me. I merely wanted him to admit his mistake. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. This battle was something Huang Yudi chose himself. Huang Yudi ignored everything, wanting him to say such humiliating words. If this place wasn't the Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian would definitely cripple Huang Yudi. Your cultivation base is too low. I initially didn't want to act against you and wanted to leave you to Yudi. But today there are actually so many people standing by your side. In that case, I truly want to see who dares to stand before me. Huang Shatian calmly stared at everyone, causing the spectators to be able to faintly sense the arrogance hidden within his calmness. Huang Shatian was one of the strongest characters in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. If one wanted to become enemies with him, one would have to consider carefully. Who would be willing to antagonize such a character? Senior brother, you can't bully others like this. Can you defeat him? Monk Bujie hid behind Buchan as he asked. I can't. Buchan shook his head and said calmly. Although he was powerful, he was definitely not a match for Huang Shatian. The gap between them was not small. Senior brother Buyu. Bujie turned around and looked at Buyu, who had been silent all this while. Buyu still didn't say a word. He placed his palms together and looked really solemn. Bujie had a bitter expression and asked, Senior brother, can Senior brother Buyu beat him? Buchan pondered for a moment as if thinking, then said, I'm afraid I can't beat him. Even if I can, Senior brother Buyu won't. Bujie looked towards Qin Wentian with a pitiful gaze. Brother Qin, it isn't that I am not loyal, but even my senior brother can't beat him, much less me. You can only rely on yourself. Qin Wentian rolled his eyes. This cunning monk. If he could beat him, then he would help. If he couldn't, then he would run away? Brother Qin, you have to be smarter in the future. The current Wuxiu isn't as righteous as me. If you beat him, there will be an emperor brother. If you beat him, there will be an emperor uncle. As for grandfather, if you can't take it, then just bear with it. Bujie continued. Everyone had an interested expression on their faces. Was he mocking the 9 emperors' immortal state? Are you mocking me? Huang Shatian turned his gaze onto Bujie. Bujie instantly hid behind Buyu as he spoke. How would I dare to do so? Don't scare this little monk. If you beat me up, my senior brother would definitely help. There are still other great monks in the Ascart temple, but they aren't as reasonable as this little monk. The monks of Wenshin Temple are reasonable? Many people who understood Wenshin Temple laughed. That bunch of crazy monks. Bujie's words weren't false. If someone bullied a monk from Wenshin Temple, those crazy monks wouldn't just let the matter rest. They wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. Out of all the major powers in the central regions that couldn't be offended, Wenshin Temple was definitely ranked in the top 3. Huang Shatian glanced at Bujie before turning his gaze to the left and right of Qin Wentian. Is there anyone else? His words seemed to have included the 3 monks from Wenshin Temple. Such an attitude wasn't just an ordinary arrogance. So what if everyone stood on Qin Wentian's side? If he wanted to deal with Qin Wentian, no one would be able to obstruct him. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe stood beside Qin Wentian. Chida's aura was incomparably ferocious as he stared at Huang Shatian. They could clearly see Saint Lord Qin Wentian's talent. Although they didn't know how talented the previous Saint Lord Ancient Emperor Yi was, according to the rumors of their tribe, the talent of this generation's Saint Lord might even be above the previous Saint Lord. Their mission was to ensure that Qin Wentian could grow smoothly. No matter who their opponent was, they would undoubtedly stand before Qin Wentian. Since the disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm stepped out, they naturally wouldn't retreat. Everyone stood in formation. No one retreated. This battle was unavoidable. Very good. Do you think there's anyone who can obstruct me if I want to move against them? Huang Shaishan's voice was as calm as ever, disregarding everything in his eyes. In this Tiandao Sacred Academy, there weren't many who could enter his eyes. At the very least, there wasn't a single person beside Qin Wentian. Even if I can't obstruct you, at the very least what you do to me, my friends will do to the people of the 9 emperors' immortal state. Qin Wentian spoke. He could sense how powerful Huang Shatian was just by looking at the attitude of the crowd. The current him basically wasn't a match for Huang Shatian. However, this didn't mean that he would retreat, especially when this concerned Qing. Very few people dare to threaten me. Today I truly want to see. Huang Shatian spoke with incomparable arrogance. The auras of the experts around him gushed forth, and in an instant, the experts from the 2 powers all unleashed their auras at the same time. For a period of time, this entire space was filled with an oppressive pressure. The chaotic air currents caused no one in front of the Shizhong wall to dare to remain. The spectators all hurriedly retreated far away. In the end, a great battle was unavoidable. Boom! Huang Shatian released his immortal foundation. His perfect and flawless immortal foundation was incomparably dazzling. In addition, his cultivation base has already reached the peak of immortal foundation. In addition to his saint-grade immortal foundation, it was even more flawless. 9-colored immortal light revolved around his immortal foundation. Everywhere the light passed by, everyone could feel a stifling pressure. If I want to touch you, there's no one here who can obstruct me. Huang Shatian stared at Qin Wentian. With a boom he stepped out, rushing into the crowd. The experts around Qin Wentian all unleashed their powerful immortal might as their immortal foundations erupted forth. However, the human emperor immortal foundation radiated a boundlessly resplendent spatial light. For a period of time, everyone felt as though they were trapped in a spatial barrier. The incomparably resplendent human emperor sword light slashed out. It was far stronger compared to Huang Yudi back then. Boom boom boom. Numerous experts were flung through the air. There were originally very few people who could stand at the peak of immortal foundation. It was tough for Huang Shatian to find an opponent at the same level as him. For those with a cultivation base lower than him, how could they even withstand a single strike from him? Those experts who were usually extremely powerful were all flung through the air with a single strike. This was also because Huang Shatian held back. If not, nobody knew what the consequences would be. Even someone as powerful as Huang Shatian still had respect in his heart for the rules of the Sacred Academy. The stronger one was, the more they would be able to comprehend the mysteries of the Sacred Academy, and the more they would understand the respect and reverence for the Sacred Academy. Huang Shatian was tyrannical, he didn't respect the weak. But for the rules of the Sacred Academy, he didn't dare to break them, nor would he break them. Qin Wentian stared at how powerful Huang Shatian was. He only hated himself for being too slow in his cultivation, or he wouldn't have fallen into such a situation. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. Many experts were swept away. That incomparably resplendent immortal foundation light contained the power of swords, spatial as well as many other powerful attacks. There was no way to evade. Huang Shatian directly opened up a path, moving towards Qin Wentian. It was like with him alone, no one in the world could stand against him. If he wanted to target someone, no one would be able to obstruct him. The people behind Huang Shatian also witnessed how terrifying he was. They followed Huang Shatian, sweeping through everything before them, only to see Huang Shatian taking another step forward, moving towards Qin Wentian. Before Qin Wentian, Chida's back could be seen the shadow of an incomparably gigantic divine ape. Chida's body became incomparably violent, growing larger and larger, brimming with boundless strength. A fearsome killing immortal light gushed over. Chida roared in rage and lifted his palms to attack. A resplendent battle light screen appeared. Flowing with runes, one could faintly see the primordial divine ape, exuding a domineering might. Huang Shatian pointed his finger forward as he coldly snorted, "Destroy." As the sound of his voice faded, a boundless golden light akin to the sun blasted into the battle runes unceasingly. Beams of light shot up into the sky, the divine ape howled, unable to withstand it any longer, and exploded. Chida roared, punching out with both his fists, penetrating through the void. Huang Shatian took another step forward as he pointed his finger forward again. The Run Huang sword split the heavens and the earth, unleashing a peerlessly sharp light that forcibly split apart his opponent's attack. The boundless light once again gushed out. Even though Chida was incomparably powerful, it was still difficult for him to withstand Huang Shatian's attacks. At this time, the battle had already fully erupted. Although Huang Wudi's strength was not as great as Huang Shatian's, one mustn't forget that he was also an incomparably tyrannical top-notch talent with a high plane. He swept through a large area with irresistible force. The experts from the 9 Emperors' Immortal State, the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, the Supreme Sword School, the disciples of Ziti, and many others all launched their attacks at Qin Wentian and the others. Seeing that Chida couldn't hold on any longer, another 2 experts stood beside Chida. They were none other than Tang Shang, and another 9th-level Immortal Foundation disciple from the Heavenly Talisman realm. Both of them had outstanding talent and extraordinary combat prowess. But despite how strong they were, they still had to join forces to contend against Huang Shatian. Qin Wentian wanted to step out yet. He saw several experts from the Battle Saint tribe protecting him. They transmitted their voices to him. "Saint Lord, don't be impulsive." Huang Shatian's target was Qin Wentian. It was already extremely difficult to obstruct Huang Shatian. It was simply too dangerous for Qin Wentian to go out and fight. "Senior brother Buyu, junior brother's friend is about to be beaten up. Can you bear to see your junior brother being bullied by others?" Bujia shamelessly pleaded to his senior brother for help. Buyu stared at Bujia. A look of worry could be seen in his eyes, but he still didn't say anything. Staring at Buyu's gaze, Bujia gritted his teeth. He cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian and cursed in a low voice. "On the account that this monk ate quite a lot of your roasted meat, this monk will go all out." After speaking, he steeled his heart and spoke to Buyu. "Senior brother Buyu, junior brother guarantees that I will no longer peek at female benefactors bathing in the future." Buyu stared at him with a gratified expression. He drew in a deep breath and spat out a word, "Okay." Chapter 1174. After Buyu spoke, he turned his gaze to the battlefield. The prayer beads on his neck moved despite the absence of wind, and Buddhist light radiated from his body. This Buddhist light was resplendent, enveloping the entire area in an instant, as though ancient Arhat Buddhas had appeared. On the battlefield, Huang Shatian fought against 3 powerful cultivators. He was insufferably arrogant, and each of his attacks was able to shake the 3 cultivators. Even if the 3 of them were powerful enough, when one's strength reached another level, the difference in numbers would be hard to make up for. As one of the strongest cultivators in the Sacred Academy, one could imagine how powerful Huang Shatian was. Buyu instantly understood that if he couldn't pin down Huang Shatian, the entire battlefield would be one-sided. Pressing his palms together, his countenance was solemn and dignified as Buddhic light radiated from him. The spectators from afar were all enveloped by the Buddhic light. Within this supreme Buddhic light, there were countless complicated runic patterns. Buyu stepped out as his silhouette vanished from his original location. In the next instant, a terrifying giant footprint of the Buddhic path appeared above Huang Shaishan's head. This giant footprint contained a towering amount of Buddhic energy, capable of trampling through space and annihilating everything. Moreover, this attack appeared out of nowhere, arriving in an instant. Huang Shatian reacted extremely quickly. With a cold shout, his body was enveloped by boundless spatial light. Buyu's Buddhist foot stomped down, directly stepping on the void, not even coming into contact with Huang Shaishan's body. But at this moment, the giant foot suddenly unleashed the might of nirvanic extermination. The Buddhist light within it crushed the surrounding void. Even if it was hidden in the void, it would still be destroyed. The violent energy slammed into the light radiating from Huang Shatian, causing Huang Shatian to be forced back. This was the first time Huang Shatian was forced back. The crowd inclined their heads and stared at Buyu. What a powerful monk! Huang Shatian also stared at Buyu. His demeanor was as graceful as ever as he calmly spoke. Every generation of the Wenshin Temple, there can only be 3 great monks at the Immortal Foundation realm. The other monks will assist these 3. The 3 of them in this generation are Buyu and have low talent. However, they are the strongest and have the best patience. They would usually spend many years to cultivate their Buddhist innate techniques to the pinnacle. Hence, their cultivation bases are the most stable. Buyu low talent? Everyone perspired when they heard Huang Shaishan's words. Low talent? Buyu actually spent many years to cultivate his strength to the pinnacle. Was this the meaning of hard work can make up for one? Buyu remained silent as he pressed his palms together. Buchan's talent is very high, but his temper is the most explosive. Buji's cultivation base is the lowest, but his talent is the highest out of the 3. It's said that he is proficient in all arts of the Buddhist path. Hence, Buyu and Buchan doted on this junior apprentice brother of theirs. This also resulted in Buji's shameless and lustful personality. Huang Shatian faintly spoke. Everyone turned their gazes onto that magnificent silhouette. Although Huang Shatian was powerful and arrogant, he was truly an extraordinary character. He understood the 3 great monks of the Wenshin Temple very well. This monk is so pure and innocent, yet I was slandered as shameless. Benefactor Shatian, you will definitely descend to the 18th level of hell for distorting the truth. Bujia pressed his palms together as he cursed with a straight face. Today, since the 3 great monks of the Wenshin Temple are all here, I truly want to experience for myself the might of Buyu's so-called Buddha path innate techniques that have been cultivated to the pinnacle. As the sound of Huang Shaishan's voice faded, the emperor light from his immortal foundation slashed apart space, shooting towards Buyu. Buyu chanted a Buddhist chant, exuding a solemn and dignified air. The prayer beads around his neck were like relics, shining with a resplendent light. Behind Buyu, an incomparably gigantic ancient Buddha appeared. 108 golden arhats revolved around him, transforming into a supreme protective innate technique. The terrifying emperor light shot over, enveloping this entire space, frenziedly lacerating everything in its path. Such fearsome might was sufficient to shatter this entire space. This fearsome destructive might shot towards the golden arhats, unceasingly destroying them. However, to everyone's shock, they discovered that these 108 golden arhats seemed to be a single entity. As long as they weren't instantly destroyed, they would be able to regain their radiance. This could be said to be truly indestructible. What a shocking defense! The hearts of everyone trembled. Before this, they had never heard of Buyu's name before. This monk was truly very low profile, but in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, low profile people didn't necessarily mean that they were weak. I want to see how long you can last, Huang Shatian coldly spoke. His perfect immortal foundation circulated frenziedly as destructive energy gushed forth. In order to maintain such a fearsome defense, the consumption rate would definitely be extremely high. Benefactors, why are you all just standing at the side and watching? Buyu spoke again. Only now did Chida and the others came to their senses. Although Buyu was powerful, when compared to the unrivaled Huang Shatian, it would be hard for him to stand against him. They needed to join forces to deal with Huang Shatian. Just attack him boldly. My senior brother will help you restrain him. Bujie spoke in a loud voice. Chida and the other 2 disciples from the heavenly talisman realm stepped out. The 4 of them moved in 4 different directions. Chida roared, unleashing his battle saint art. A tyrannical palm imprint blotted out the sky as it blasted out. Tang Sheng slashed out a beam of sword light that was as fast as the wind, directly aiming for Buyu's throat. Another disciple attacked at the same time. The 4 of them were ganging up on Buyu. Huang Shatian wasn't afraid at all. Boundless spatial light enveloped him, and those tyrannical attacks were all drawn into a separate dimension by him. Both his palms blasted out, manifesting numerous human emperor silhouettes wielding spatial killing swords, wanting to control the lives of everyone in the world, as they slashed out in 2 different directions. At the same time, Huang Shatian stepped out as well. His figure flickered as he moved towards Tang Sheng. Tang Sheng waved his sword and weaved a spatial light screen. Huang Shatian stabbed out with a finger, and in an instant, the power of the human emperor slashed out together with the spatial storm. No one could block it. But almost at the same time, Buyu arrived, descending from the sky. Another gigantic foot stomped down. Huang Shatian didn't have time to kill Tang Sheng and had no choice but to defend. Tang Sheng took the chance to increase the distance between them, and Huang Shatian was forced back once more. The 4 experts continued their attacks, surrounding Huang Shatian. Just like what Bujie said, Buyu's defense was unparalleled and his attacks were incomparably tyrannical. It was indeed suitable to restrict Huang Shatian, preventing him from concentrating his strength to deal with any one of them. Senior brother is wise indeed. Bujie praised from the bottom of his heart. Shameless. An expert from the 9 emperors' immortal state cursed. This monk Buyu's combat method was simply shameless. Those 100 arhats and Buddhas were like turtle shells. You should go as well. Qin Wentian spoke to an expert from the Battle Saint tribe who was protecting him. This person was also at the 9th level of Immortal Foundation and was extremely powerful. He was protecting Qin Wentian because Huang Shaishan's threat was too great. Saint Lord. That person spoke in a low voice. Go on, he is proficient in spatial energy. Don't give him a chance to kill his way out. Qin Wentian spoke. That expert nodded. After that, his silhouette flashed as he joined Huang Shaishan's battle circle. This time around it was a joint attack by 5 experts. Even someone as strong as Huang Shatian was trapped. The attacks from both sides shook the heavens and earth, each of them opening up a battlefield, causing the hearts of the spectators to tremble when they saw this. Qing and Jidi's disciples wanted to break out of the encirclement, but they were surrounded by Zidi's followers and several other experts. They had no way to kill their way to the other side. The other experts were all fighting. At this moment, there was no one beside Qin Wentian. He didn't need anyone. Huang Shatian was trapped by the 5 experts. Huang Wudi unceasingly rushed over. His cultivation base was extremely high and he managed to injure several experts. However, Buchan also acted. How powerful was he? Other than Huang Shatian and Huang Wudi, who else in the 9 emperors' immortal state could be his opponent? All of them were injured by his attacks. He then spoke. Such a battle is truly boring. Huang Wudi arrived before him. His expression was ice cold. Is the Wenxin Temple determined to get involved in this? Your 9 emperors' immortal states Huang Wudi has already been defeated. Right now, there are so many experts wanting to deal with a 5th level Immortal Foundation character. How despicable. Buchan spoke. Since when did the monks of the Wenxin Temple have so many rules? The strong are strong, the weak should have their own self-awareness. Isn't your Wenxin Temple only allowed to bully others and not be bullied by others? Huang Wudi spoke. In addition, do you think that with just you and Buyu, you would be able to change the situation? As Huang Wudi spoke, there were already experts rushing over, arriving before Qin Wentian. There were 3 of them, all of them had extremely high cultivation bases. The experts from the Battle Saint tribe wanted to rush back to help, but they were all being suppressed. They had no way to aid Qin Wentian. There's no need to care about me. Qin Wentian roared when he saw the experts rushing over. Qing'er, I will head to the Tongtian Heavenstone in the sky connecting realm. There's no need for you all to continue fighting. Qin Wentian transmitted his voiceover. The target of the 9 emperors' immortal state was him. In fact, he felt that it wasn't like what Huang Yudi had said, that Huang Shatian was interested in Qing'er. Huang Shatian basically didn't pay attention to Qing'er when he came here. In the hearts of such people, cultivation was everything. They wouldn't care about emotions. He transformed into a great rock and with a flash of his silhouette, he sped away with lightning speed. Everyone, I can't thank you enough for fighting for me, Qin Wentian. Their target is me, there's no need for them to fight bitterly. Qin Wentian's voice boomed out, transforming into a beam of lightning that tore through the air. And as expected, when they saw Qin Wentian leaving, many experts coldly snorted and left the battlefield, chasing after Qin Wentian. If Qin Wentian stayed here, the pressure on those who were helping him would be even greater. The moment he left, many experts would chase after him. Everyone knew that the target of the 9 emperors' immortal state was Qin Wentian. This time around, Huang Shatian, Huang Wudi, and many other experts came here at the same time. If Qin Wentian still managed to escape, it would be an extremely embarrassing matter. In an instant, the entire battlefield was in chaos. Many experts soared into the air at the same time and chased after Qin Wentian. Many experts who were watching also stepped out, wanting to watch the show. It was rare for such a large-scale chaotic battle to happen in the Sacred Academy. They wanted to see how the ending would be. Only one big battlefield was still not in chaos. In Huang Shaishan's battlefield, 5 experts were besieging him with all their might. This battle could be said to be earth-shattering. Looking at Huang Shaishan's unparalleled grace, everyone couldn't help but sigh. Perhaps he might be the future great emperor of the ancients. Chapter 1175. Qin Wentian's speed was extremely fast. It was as though he had transformed into a great rock. His entire body was made of pure gold, resembling a true pure-blooded golden-winged great rock. In addition to the power of his god's hand, his entire body surged with unfathomable might. In the air, only shadows of golden-winged rocks could be seen. How fast! Behind him, a very long battle line was formed. Many experts were chasing after him, and there were also many spectators. Naturally, there were even more experts who stayed at the battlefield in front of the Shizhong Wall because Huang Shatian and Huang Wudi were there. Evidently, the battles would be even more fascinating. Shen Yuehua and the others chose to chase in the direction of Qin Wentian. She wanted to see if this mysterious young man could escape this calamity. If he was captured by the experts of the 9 emperors' immortal state, Shen Yuehua could already imagine how miserable Qin Wentian's fate would be. Although the rules of the Sacred Academy didn't allow killing or crippling, they could at least torture a person. Qin Wentian domineeringly humiliated Huang Yudi. The 9 emperors' immortal state naturally wouldn't be polite to him. Seems like we have underestimated him. After transforming into a great rock, he seems to have comprehended the true sky rock art. It's impossible for ordinary geniuses to catch up to him. A fairy beside Shen Yuehua spoke. Qin Wentian was simply too fast. He didn't seem to have a human body, but a true golden-winged great rock instead. The one chasing after him was a terrifying 8th-level Immortal Foundation genius. He was also an expert of the 9 Emperors' immortal state. In this generation of the 9 Emperors' immortal state, Huang Shatian, Huang Yudi and Huang Wudi all had outstanding talent. This person was named Huang Dangtian and was also an extremely rare genius with terrifying combat prowess. It was just that because this golden generation had Huang Shatian, Huang Yudi and the others, their radiance was overshadowed. Huang Dangtian was definitely an extremely powerful character. He stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. To his left and right, there was an 8th-level Immortal Foundation ZD's followers, as well as a 7th-level Immortal Foundation expert from the Supreme Sword School. The speed of these three was the fastest and they chased after Qin Wentian relentlessly. Behind them, there was still a group of experts chasing after Qin Wentian, wanting to capture Qin Wentian no matter what. Under such speed, a group of people soared through the air. Not long after, Qin Wentian arrived at the entrance of the sky-connecting realm. He directly transformed into a bolt of lightning and shot into the sky-connecting realm. The experts behind him also didn't hesitate to enter, continuing to chase after Qin Wentian. Even if Qin Wentian entered the sky-connecting realm, they would choose not to kill Qin Wentian. But even so, they would still make him miserable. You won't be able to escape. Not only did Qin Wentian not widen the distance between him and Huang Dangtian, he was getting closer and closer instead. Huang Dangtian's aura was already able to envelop Qin Wentian's body. However, he was simply too fast. The moment he was enveloped by his aura, he would instantly retreat. Huang Dangtian and the others could only continue to shorten the distance between them. And at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of them. This figure abruptly flashed and transformed into an incomparably gigantic white tiger. The white tiger that was at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation exuded a terrifying aura. With a howl of rage, it lunged towards Qin Wentian, wanting to obstruct Qin Wentian's advance. Qin Wentian unfurled his wings. Runic light circulated around him, slashing apart everything. He directly penetrated through the baleful aura of destruction and headed straight for the body of the white tiger. The white tiger greater demon roared in rage once more as an incomparably gigantic white tiger phantom appeared in the sky. However, Qin Wentian's movements didn't slow down at all. The supreme light radiating from his body grew even more resplendent as an incomparably resplendent beam of light arced through the air. The white tiger greater demon was directly cleaved into two from the middle. The speed of the golden-winged great roc didn't slow down in the slightest as it continued on its path. Such might cause the hearts of those pursuing Qin Wentian to tremble slightly. They couldn't help but to admit Qin Wentian's talent. Even though he was his opponent, if Qin Wentian's cultivation base was at the peak of Immortal Foundation, he would surely be an unparalleled character like Huang Shatian, becoming one of the strongest characters in the entire Sacred Academy. Sadly, there was no hope for Qin Wentian. Huang Dangtian and the others chased closer and closer. Qin Wentian directly sped towards the wilderness of the sky-connecting realm. The eyes of the golden-winged roc were incomparably lofty as he inclined his head and stared at the sky-connecting realm. The entire Tiandao Sacred Academy was enveloped by a strange law. There seemed to be a pair of eyes watching everything, setting the rules. Most probably, there were people watching their every action. In addition, Qin Wentian knew that the rules could be slightly modified. Back then, after the Tao lecture in the Sacred Academy, a huge conflict arose between him and the White Tiger race. He requested the Sacred Academy to set up a life-and-death battle platform, and the Sacred Academy agreed, allowing a life-and-death battle platform to be set up on the stairway leading to the ancient mountain peak. Right now, it was unknown if such a situation would occur again in the sky-connecting realm. You can't escape. Behind him, a terrifying voice descended. It was the voice of Huang Dangtian. He was the closest in pursuit. Most likely, it would not be long before he would be able to intercept and kill Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was still running madly. It seemed that he was giving it his all just to escape a little further. Everything looked so much like he was fleeing for his life. Moreover, he seemed to be a little panicked and did not choose his path. The direction of his escape was getting more and more remote, deep into the ancient mountains and barren mountains of the sky-connecting realm. Any demonic beasts that passed by would be directly slain. His momentum was unstoppable. Behind him, there were already quite a number of cultivators who had been shaken off. However, the people who were still following closely behind Qin Wentian were the most powerful group of people. Kill. Behind him, Huang Dongtian's mighty Renhuang might swept out and charged towards Qin Wentian in front of him. Qin Wentian's wings shimmered with runic light as he directly slashed out a tyrannical attack behind him. Borrowing the rebound force from the impact, his speed explosively increased once more. He was still fleeing, wanting to escape to a place where the crowd couldn't reach. Finally, Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the Sacred Academy as he spoke. I know that this Sacred Academy has its own rules. Junior Qin Wentian is a ranker on the Supreme Might rankings. Now that I'm being pursued by others, Can I request the Sacred Academy to open up an independent battlefield and engage in a life-and-death battle? This voice contained a cold, killing intent, as though it contained the coldness in Qin Wentian's heart. Even Huang Dangtian, who was chasing after him, felt his heart trembling. Had this fellow gone mad? He wanted to open up an independent battlefield and engage in a life-and-death battle? Qin Wentian, how would he dare to do so? In the air there seemed to be no reply. But at this moment, law energy flowed in the air above the sky-connecting realm, following after Qin Wentian. A voice rang out, no matter how high your cultivation base is, you are pursuing a 5th-level Immortal Foundation cultivator. You are allowed to request a life-and-death battle. But since you want such a battlefield, either you kill all your opponents or you die. What kind of battlefield do you want? Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. He only felt that the Sacred Academy was mysterious and could bear witness to everything. Hence he wanted to give it a try, but he didn't expect that there would actually be a reply. It was just that the reply was extremely cruel. If he chose to open up an independent battlefield, he would either kill all his opponents or die in battle. This was the price he had to pay for his request to open up an independent battlefield in the sky-connecting realm. Fine, I accept the challenge. I request for an independent battlefield that is isolated from the outside world. After I win, I need to be able to leave from another location and not be disturbed by others. Qin Wentian stated his request. Request accepted. An ethereal voice rang out in the air. After that, a terrifying law energy descended from the sky. Before him, a gate instantly appeared, shining with the light of law energy. Qin Wentian directly stepped out and entered. In the next instant, Huang Dangshan walked to the gate. A voice rang out in his mind, informing Huang Dangshan of the rules. Although the Sacred Academy allowed Qin Wentian's request to open up an independent battlefield, others still had the right to choose. They could choose not to accept it. Has he gone mad? Huang Dangshan roared when he sensed the rules. This Qin Wentian was courting death? At this moment, Huang Dangshan actually felt a hint of hesitation in his heart. The Sacred Academy naturally had its own rules. Even if they captured Qin Wentian, it was impossible for them to kill Qin Wentian. But right now, Qin Wentian seemed to be courting death. Would a genius like Qin Wentian be so foolish and ignorant? Or could it be that he still had a trump card? Boo! The whistling sound of sharp swords and violent wind could be heard. Zidi's followers and the experts from the Supreme Sword School arrived. They instantly sensed the rules and stood together with Huang Dangshan, staring at the gate ahead. What are you hesitating for? The experts from the Supreme Sword School asked. Huang Dangshan furrowed his brows. As a prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, his cultivation base was at the 8th level while Qin Wentian was at the 5th level. Even if his talent was monstrous, so what? What was he hesitating for? Releasing his immortal foundation, Emperor might gushed forth as Huang Dangtian stepped out, stepping into the gate. Zidi's followers and the disciples from the Supreme Sword School respectively stepped out, entering the independent battlefield created by the rules of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Within the independent battlefield there was an independent space. Huang Dangshan and the other two stepped out only to see Qin Wentian floating in the air with his eyes closed. Are you courting death? Huang Dangshan stared at Qin Wentian as he coldly spoke. Since he is courting death, let's send him on his way then. The expert from the Paragon Sword sect coldly snorted. A moment later, Sword Chi hummed as he shot out. At the same time, his body also sped towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian released his perfect Saint-grade immortal foundation. Abruptly, his entire body shone with an incomparably terrifying blood-colored light. At this instant, numerous blood-colored runes circulated around his body, as the blood-colored light shot towards Qin Wentian's immortal foundation. The Saint-grade immortal foundation was actually imbued with the glow of his bloodline. At this instant, that perfect Saint-grade immortal foundation seemed to have completed a sublimation. His entire immortal foundation seemed to be filled with an inexhaustible amount of law energy. His body was like a body of law energy. The sharp sword slashed over. Yet it had no way to move Qin Wentian. Huang Dangshan and the other two stared at Qin Wentian, who was radiating a towering bloodline energy. They actually felt an aura that struck fear into their hearts. It was extremely dangerous. The Qin Wentian right now caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. And at this moment, The expert from the Supreme Sword School was already rushing over on his sword. Qin Wentian's eyes abruptly opened as a terrifying blood-colored light engulfed everything, causing everyone to sink into the depths of his eyes. Within those blood-colored eyes, one could faintly see a supreme greater demon. Kill! That expert from the Supreme Sword School roared in rage. 10,000 swords shot out in unison, but at this moment, a terrifying demonic divinity shadow appeared. It directly lifted a blood-colored palm imprint and directly destroyed all the swords. After that, a gigantic palm stretched out, causing the expert from the Supreme Sword School to tremble uncontrollably as he retreated on his sword. The blood-colored demonic divinity palm imprint swept out, causing the space around it to freeze. The gigantic palm imprint grabbed the expert from the Supreme Sword School. No! That expert from the Supreme Sword School howled in rage. He could faintly sense an intense threat of death. Boo! A light sound rang out as the palm imprint pressed down, causing blood to splatter out. The expert from the Supreme Sword School was actually crushed to death. Chapter 1176. A 7th-level Immortal Foundation expert from the Supreme Sword School died. Although Qin Wentian could already kill 7th-level Immortal Foundation geniuses before this, it was impossible for him to do so in such a tyrannical manner. In addition, there was no need to doubt the strength of that expert from the Supreme Sword School, since he was able to become one of the 3 pursuers who pursued him the most closely. Yet, he was still crushed to death by that blood-colored greater demon hand. This scene caused the hearts of Huang Dangtian and that expert from the Violet Emperor sect to violently tremble. Staring at the increasingly demonic body of Qin Wentian, they could only feel the terror of death in their hearts. At this moment, a terrifying shadow of a demon god appeared behind Qin Wentian, flowing with a fearsome blood-colored light. It was like Qin Wentian's original form was the shadow of the demon god. Qin Wentian's entire person seemed to have transformed into a demon. Are you a human or a demon? Huang Dangshan coldly stared at Qin Wentian as he asked. He didn't expect Qin Wentian to become so terrifying. Why can't humans cultivate the abilities of demons? Qin Wentian coldly replied. That perfect saint-grade immortal foundation of his was completely covered in blood-colored law energy, dyeing his entire immortal foundation red. Qin Wentian roared as numerous fearsome Ziti phantoms appeared. Their roars tore apart the void as a violent energy gushed forth, aiming for Huang Dangshan and Ziti's followers. Huang Dangshan released his emperor might to the extreme as the might of a human emperor gushed forth. Ziti's followers blasted out a towering violet fist light, shaking the heavens and earth. However, under the roar of the Ziti phantoms, their attacks were all shattered. Qin Wentian directly unleashed another attack. Above his immortal foundation, numerous demonic dragons could be seen churning about, slaughtering their way through. Huang Dangshan gathered all his strength to defend against them, yet he only saw the demonic dragons shimmering with blood-colored light, wanting to destroy everything. Terrifying rumbling sounds echoed through the air. Huang Dangshan turned pale when he felt the terrifying law energy. This amount of energy was sufficient to destroy him. Huang Dangshan slashed out with a human emperor sword as he retreated. Ziti's followers also wanted to retreat, yet they only saw numerous divine elephants rushing over, exuding a towering destructive might. The divine elephants crushed his body, causing him to cough out blood as his steps faltered. With a thunderous boom, Ziti's followers coughed out blood as they fell from the air. After that, a great rock slashed over, directly killing him. Another expert has fallen. Huang Dangshan felt fear in his heart. He wanted to leave, yet he discovered that this battlefield was created independently. From the moment he stepped here, it was destined that there was no path of retreat. Either he would die or Qin Wentian would die. When he thought of this, he could only turn and stare at Qin Wentian. At this moment, when he saw Qin Wentian, he felt his heart trembling. Qin Wentian was a gigantic demon god, exuding an indestructible demonic law energy, giving people a misconception that he was unshakable. Huang Dangshan even lost his will to continue fighting. In the next instant, countless golden-winged rocks descended from the sky, wanting to destroy everything. Huang Dangshan roared in rage. His terrifying emperor might was unable to block the demonic might. The blood-colored golden-winged rocks seemed to be endless in number. All of them were annihilated. Screams of agony rang out until Huang Dangshan's body completely vanished from this world, transforming into nothingness. This was a battlefield created by the laws of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Even if one died, no immortal sense would appear. The 3 experts who chased after Qin Wentian all died. Even if they died, the people in the outside world wouldn't know how they died. In fact, they didn't even know that they had already died. Outside the life and death battlefield, there were several other experts chasing after them. When they appeared outside the battlefield, they naturally heard the announcement of the rules, which directly appeared in their minds. The battlefield in front of them was the life and death battlefield. These people exchanged mutual glances, feeling some hesitation. They didn't expect that such a battlefield would actually be created in the sky-connecting realm. In that case, those experts who chased after Qin Wentian earlier should have already killed Qin Wentian, right? After waiting for a moment, the gate was still there was no movement. One of them spoke. "Let's go in and take a look." Let's go." Several of them stepped through the gate at the same time. After that, they saw an incomparably gigantic demonic divinity standing there. That demonic divinity was none other than Qin Wentian's face. Their hearts pounded rapidly as their countenances paled. When they felt that overwhelming demonic might, their bodies involuntarily trembled. Such an aura was sufficient to destroy them. Boom! The demonic might descended from the sky. A greater demon descended, wanting to destroy everything. At this moment they turned and fled, wanting to leave this battlefield. But before they stepped into the battlefield, the laws had already been transmitted into their minds. How could they escape? These experts who entered all died here. In the outside world, this space turned extremely silent. Earlier, Qin Wentian's speed of escape was extremely fast, and he had shaken off many people. The number of people who chased after him wasn't too many. The gate was still shining with a demonic light, resembling the eyes of a devil. Bzz. A beam of sword chi gushed forth from afar. Another expert from the Supreme Sword School arrived. Upon sensing the voice of the Sacred Academy, he coldly snorted and didn't hesitate to step into the battlefield. After that, he didn't come out again. After that, more and more figures appeared, entering the devil-like gate. They could only enter, they couldn't exit. After a period of time in the battlefield, Qin Wentian felt the energy in his body drying up. He couldn't control the power of his bloodline at all. In fact, he couldn't even maintain absolute clarity of mind. A sense of exhaustion washed over him. His demonic eyes flashed with a trace of calmness. He glanced at the battlefield as he spoke. "Is this enough?" "Yes." A voice rang out. After that, an exit opened up at the other end of the battlefield. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he rushed out, directly entering the depths of the mountain range. For a period of time, everywhere he passed by, his aura was extremely shocking, causing tens of thousands of demons to retreat. That battlefield also vanished, returning to the original dimension of the sky-connecting realm. There was no one there, not even corpses. Of course, the voice of the rules had also disappeared. Everything here seemed to have been directly erased. No one knew that an independent battlefield had been opened in this space. And no one knew that many geniuses who had stepped into Tiandao's Sacred Academy had died in this battlefield. After some more time passed, an expert from the Human Emperor Immortal Empire rushed over. He seemed to have sensed an unusual aura in the air. His silhouette flashed as he descended, only to see a few drops of blood on the ground. It was unknown where they came from. His silhouette flickered as he continued to descend. Then the fairies of the Yaotai Pavilion also walked over. They seemed to have sensed something here. They stopped for a moment and continued forward. After that, people from Qin Wentian's side also arrived here. Whether it was Qin Wentian or those experts who were chasing them, they couldn't be found. No one knew where they stepped into the sky-connecting world. After some more time passed, Huang Wudi also arrived here. He continued to chase after them, but to no avail. In another battlefield, Huang Shatian was surrounded by 5 powerful experts. He fought furiously against the heavens and managed to kill his way out of the encirclement. However, he ultimately still wasn't able to defeat the combined forces of the 5 experts. He could only threaten them before he left. Qing'er also left. She followed her senior sisters and headed towards the Tongtian Heaven Stone, waiting for Qin Wentian. This chaotic battle that shocked the entire Sacred Academy gradually came to an end just like that. However, there wasn't a clear ending because no one was able to find Qin Wentian. It was as though he had gone missing. Until 7 days later, Qin Wentian and many of his pursuers still hadn't appeared. This caused quite a commotion in the Sacred Academy. After all, back then, Qin Wentian took the 81 steps in front of the Shizhong Wall. After that, Huang Shatian descended and the battle attracted the attention of the Sacred Academy. Many people were paying close attention to Qin Wentian's ending. However, Qin Wentian disappeared for 7 days. Not only him but many people who had chased him also disappeared, including a very powerful prince of the 9 emperors' immortal state, Huang Dangtian. There was no trace of them anywhere in the sky-connecting world. There were many rumors in the Sacred Academy. Some people said that Qin Wentian risked everything and got out of the sky-connecting world again. He even violated the rules of the Sacred Academy and perished together with those who chased him. However, there weren't many people who believed it. After all, with Qin Wentian's strength and realm, it was impossible for him to perish together with so many experts. There were also people who said that they walked through the endless wilderness of the sky-connecting world and barged into a mystic realm. They were trapped or entered the territory of some super-powerful great demon and were trapped inside. There were many people who believed in this rumor. No matter what kind of rumor it was, as time passed, the voices of discussion would gradually lessen. Until 3 months later, suddenly one day, an expert saw Qin Wentian's figure disappear from the sky-connecting celestial stone. It immediately caused an uproar. The news of Qin Wentian's death instantly spread to many corners of the Sacred Academy. On that day, the young man who took the 81 steps on the Shizhong Wall and defeated Huang Yudi, causing a great battle. Did he die? There were rules in the Sacred Academy. It was impossible for someone to die. However, Qin Wentian had indeed disappeared from the sky-connecting celestial stone. Apart from dying, what else could it be? In the Sacred Academy, sighs could be heard. On the Tongtian Heaven Stone in the sky-connecting world, the fairies of Yaotai gathered together. Many people were discussing it. Shen Yuehua's beautiful eyes looked at the figure of the sky-connecting celestial stone that had disappeared. She let out a long sigh. Such a person was actually only able to display his brilliance for such a short period of time. Did he die in the Tiandao Sacred Academy? My senior brother couldn't have died. A voice was heard. It was the voice of Jun Mengchen. He did not believe the rumors. There's nothing that's impossible. Azidi's followers said cold. That guy actually died. This was really good news. On the Tongtian Heaven Stone, there was a beautiful figure sitting there with her eyes closed, waiting quietly. Beside the woman, many fairies tried to persuade her. However, the woman still had her eyes closed and was indifferent. Qin Wentian said that he would come here, so he would definitely come. This was the agreement between them. Qin Wentian would definitely abide by it.